Welcome back to Appalachian Dim Sum.
Where entertainment is our comfort food.
And this is episode 53.
Yes.
Yep, this is our leftovers for March.
Is it? Yeah, March. One of the months where we actually had five Mondays, so we had to do a fifth show.
That's generally what we try to do, is try to have something every Monday. And if there's 5 Mondays, we add leftovers on, and it's usually something to do with the main topic in some way.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily what we'll always do.
Main topic, of course, being the Matrix.
The Matrix, that's right.
And the sequels, I guess, or the trilogy, or however you want to refer to them.
Series.
The series.
Yeah.
And I think we've definitely been able to figure out that in just getting into it, you could go into so many different directions with all this stuff, and
Absolutely.
you could dive very much deeper into any of the topics that it kind of comes along with it. And we got into looking at what the internet thinks are Matrix related movies and other series and things. I think we tried to keep that narrowly focused. Dark City and the 13th Floor, a few other things, but you could start to go through hundreds of series and hundreds of movies that have ties to the same idea. And
I mean, we could just sit for an hour and a half and talk about all of the Matrix references in pop culture.
yeah, I could tie so many movies to this with just a little bit of effort. Probably would have no intentions to have been related to it, but I guess it's such a cultural movie that it really just does kind of reach into, or at least opens your mind. Yeah, that's the point of the whole thing. Opens your mind to really think about it,
Right.
other things in different ways, or something along those lines, I guess.
It is really interesting to think about how simulation theory was something that people really didn't think about back in the late 90s. The Matrix really introduced the idea that the world could possibly be artificial to like the wide masses. Now, Plato's The Cave, that allegory and everything like that, that's existed for millennia.
Yeah.
But that's always been kind of more like a philosophical thought, not, hey, what if the world was like actually shadows? Like, what if the world was actually fake?
I was in the early years of marriage and not quite to our first child yet, but it followed very quickly thereafter when this movie came out. So my world was get up, see what everybody needs, go to work, come back, see what everybody needs, go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And a movie that goes along these kind of philosophical kind of lines, or just things that when you're in that kind of world, you don't even think about stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I guess I don't know if it comes with age or it's just the way that everything's evolved lately. I don't. Red pill just kind of take on a whole different definition from 1999 to now.
Well, from 1999 to now, one of the big differences in our culture is how much information we have at our fingertips and how much is pushed at us at all times.
Yeah.
We get more information now than, like, in a day than you'd get in like a week or maybe even a month.
I think
back then.
At the time that this came out, if I heard of a conspiracy theory, maybe like once a year, it would be like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, yeah, I got to get back to work. Sorry, guys. You get like 5 a month now.
Right.
It's to the point where it really is like the boy who cried wolf kind of thing at this point. It doesn't mean anything for it to be a conspiracy theory anymore, because you're like, well, okay, we'll wait for 2 months for the story to come out and tell us that that's actually true too, that somebody else was lying to us.
Well, if you wanted to put on your tinfoil hat, you could say, well, that's probably a part of the plan. Part of the plan was to give you so much information at such a pace, so frequently and incessantly, that it just becomes noise.
Yeah, that you can't stay focused on any one thing that needs to be done.
We're not going to get political or anything, but if you were to like take some of the things that are going on in the world today and just like superimpose them in the 90s, people would like riot and stuff,
Oh,
but
yeah.
But now it's just like, well, that's what's happening. Okay.
There's a certain doctor from only a few years ago that seems to me like should be the focus of a lot of things, and how many people even remember that even happened at this point?
Remember Dr. Kevorkian?
Yeah.
he was just euthanasia, and that was a huge scandal for a long time.
That was
in the
topics
90s.
on
And now it's like,
primetime news shows
yeah,
and
now
60
now
Minutes
like
type things.
Sweden has suicide booths made up in Canada is killing guys because they're poor. Like there was a guy, I saw an article recently where it was just like he just didn't really feel like he had anything to live and live. He was feeling depressed, and the Canadian maid system was like, "Do you want to die?" What?
The slippery slope.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
I can bring up-
that was a cliff, man.
Can bring up so many different things that you start off with. Okay, we'll do that one little thing. And now you're just like you're not even 10 years later on some of them, and you're just it's gone so much further than anybody would think.
I like
it's hard to comprehend.
I like the boiled frog metaphor. You know about that one?
Yeah, that if
Yeah, you put a frog in water and slowly boil it, the frog will boil itself to death.
Yeah.
I feel like a frog in water, man. And it's like right there where I'm just comfortable. I'm not dead yet.
I'm just trying to find some other frogs that will join
We'll
me
jump out.
before I'm too old to hop.
We're too old to hop. All right. Well, what we try to do usually with our episodes, we usually have like some sort of food that's
Yeah.
associated with it.
Yeah.
And one of the things we did this past month, explicitly because of the Matrix, is we went out for steak.
And get to talking about steak. It doesn't take a lot of conversation to be like, man, I really want a steak.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. But
We-
yeah, in the Matrix, Cypher was eating fake steak and he didn't care. Ignorance is bliss, as he
I
said.
think we were talking about there's like a Japanese steakhouse or something, and we looked around and it's like there really aren't in our area.
Yeah, that's what we wanted. But I didn't explicitly. I did not want to go to one of those places where they like cook for you and you get sat with a bunch of people you don't know and they
People throw shrimp at you.
toss food at you and got to try to catch it. I didn't feel like being on. I just wanted to have a steak.
Something about those things too. You go there and it's like this whole experience, and you eat for 45 minutes, and every time I leave one, I'm like, man, I'm hungry.
It's good. It's swing by McDonald's.
You want to go get something to eat?
Yeah.
You're sitting there just dropping little pieces of food at me for 45 minutes. It's not as.
It's more show.
It's an experience.
Yeah, but I really wasn't wanting that.
But yeah, we ended up at the. I always want to say
611
611. I always want to say 911. 911.
9/11 Steak Company.
The
2
911.
towers of meat.
I was thinking more of like calling 911. I was like,
Oh,
that's actually the steakhouse I do want to find. I want to go somewhere where they have emergency personnel on hand because you eat so much steak that you're just like, we got another one.
got another one. I don't know how real it is, but I've seen like clips where it's like this steak and you eat the whole steak and it's free kind of thing, but it's like
It's in Amarillo.
oh, is that what it is? Okay.
There's the big Texan.
Amarillo.
We've hunted with a guy. He passed away here several years ago, but he had some property out in Colorado, and he was probably about 180 pounds at the time. Went through and did the 72-ounce steak.
72-ounce steak. I just pulled it up.
And then, because he wanted to keep showing off, he ordered a piece of cheesecake for dessert and ate it. And the line
Wow.
the line walking away with he and his other friends that were with him when he did it. So he went in. He said he sat down in the car and he's like, I shouldn't have had that cheesecake.
Yeah, no kidding.
But he got his picture up, and I think people were just sitting there like in awe of the accomplishment. I like to think I could do it, but I don't know.
I honestly don't think I could. Because that's one of those things where, in my mind, I'd be like, well, I don't want to eat beforehand, but then your stomach would contract, and then you wouldn't be able to eat.
When I was in full like running shape and all that kind of stuff, where my metabolism was like, I would come home and eat a box of cereal, and then I'd have dinner, and then go do my homework, and then come back and eat another box of cereal, and I was still like 140 pounds. I think I probably could have done it then, but I don't know. Now I'm still willing to try. The worst case scenario is what you have to pay,
You
what,
pay for
50 or
steak.
$60?
Yeah. I'm assuming it's in Texas.
Yeah, it's there might be more than one. Amarillo's kind of in the north part of Texas,
Okay.
almost up in Oklahoma, I think, which is where the real steakhouses are. If you really want to get serious about it, if you go to there's steakhouses in Oklahoma and Nebraska that are like right adjacent to stockyards and slaughterhouses. So I think you're literally getting like steak as it's being sliced.
It says the 72-ounce steak challenge is held exclusively at the Big Texan Steak Ranch and Brewery in Amarillo.
And at the time, we ate there when we were kids. And of course, my parents would have never let us try that, at least at that age. But when we were there, the Big Texan was he was a guy dressed as a cowboy, and he was on stilts, and he had a microphone, and he was like walking around, and like when somebody did the challenge, he was giving them updates and talking trash to the people that were trying to eat it. And, I don't know if it's still the case or not, but
Let's see. Let's look for Amarillo Big Texan. It just showed me a bunch of steak.
wasn't quite the same experience at the 611, but it
Yeah. Right.
really, I mean, if you think about it, Roanoke's kind of taken a hit on the whole steak thing. We lost Logan's.
Yeah.
There's a couple ones out there in Valley View that I think have gone. I think there's still a
Fish and Bones is gone.
there's like a Longhorn or a Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Actually, no, the Texas Roadhouse is that thing that's built on the side of the cliff out there at Tanglewood,
Right.
and it's closed more often than it's open.
I've been there recently.
There was somebody who was trying to go there last weekend, and they got up there and there was just a sign on the door that said it's closed. And I don't know if it's because the restaurant's sliding off the cliff they tried to build it on the side of, or
Maybe.
they have a staff problem or what. But
Yeah, it's honestly, if I want a steak, I usually end up at Outback Steakhouse.
we go down to our little German Baptist market down here. If you go back into the back corner, they've got locally sourced fresh cut steaks down there. That's probably honestly the thing to do, is just go down there and get them. And
I might do that. I might start doing that after I leave here. Swing by and get a couple of steaks.
Yeah.
I'm here once or twice a month, and that's about the frequency with which we eat steak. Because the last time I bought steak, I was just at the grocery store looking at the meats, and I saw some steaks. I was like, hey, these are pretty good, and they were a good price. Took them home, started preparing them. No, they were like those. Have you ever seen where they like glue different pieces of meat together? There's like a meat glue that they use, and that's absolutely what this was. I was cutting this thing so much, and what they obviously did is they had different cuts of meat and they put them together to where it looked like a steak. It was very close to turning me off, but I am not one to waste food, so I cooked what I cut out, what I
would
could
have
cut.
cubed that and fried it with something and
Yeah.
and moved on.
I'll show you a picture sometime. It's disgusting.
There, I caught this from a YouTuber looking for like discount things, and I don't remember if I'm saying the cut right. Is it like a round? It's generally
Top round.
It's generally like a really tough piece of meat that I don't think people are crazy about cooking for steaks and stuff, because it is very. But he actually was cutting. You buy the whole piece, whatever it is. I think round is right. Cut your steaks from it, and then like salt them, and then put them in the fridge and let the
Salt, like, tenderizes
let the
it,
salt
right?
tenderize them. And of course, it is a little bit saltier of a tasting thing when you cook it. But I did that, and it is a really flavorful piece of steak.
Okay.
And I don't mind the salt taste. I think when we did it, my wife's like, "This is really salty." I was like, "This is because I put salt all over it." But that's
I've seen videos where people will go to like Costco or something and just buy like a big old like a leg of meat, and
Yeah.
they cut it up and make smaller steaks.
yeah. I mean,
It's-
I'm used to cutting steak size stuff from messing with deer and stuff here.
Yeah.
And if it was the right season, we would be cutting up so we could have some bear steaks today, because we're having a lot of bear encounters the
Think you
last
might
few
get you
days.
one?
I took the rock rake that's by the door when you come in. I took that to one last night to get the trash bag out of his mouth.
Oh no!
Or the night before last.
Let go! Let go!
There was a warning shot involved. Not here. I think it was some neighbors shooting fireworks. It just sounded like a shot from here. But yeah, it's been an interesting few days here on that front. But
Well, I'd be more than willing to try some bear meat if you get it. Yeah.
have to wait till the fall. You have to be careful now, I think, with the bear around here to being into so much trash and human stuff.
Oh, ew. If that's in them.
There was something that, again, I'd have to get online and look it up, and it's getting pretty far away from the Matrix already. But there's something that they carry in this area that can
Make you sick.
make you sick, and I think do some bad things to your system.
So you don't know that.
I probably need to do some more research on that before I just go outside and start eating.
Well, if you end up
Somebody killing my yard.
if you end up taking one down at some point, let me know, because I'd be willing to be a helping hand in the cleaning process.
Yeah. It's one thing with a bear too, at least here.
If you get it, you got to make a helmet out of the head.
You have to be pretty quick with it.
Yeah.
Because they are so insulated in the wintertime.
Right.
That you can sit there and watch it do your steam coming out when you first kill it and are starting the cleaning process. And within 5 or 10 minutes, things are sticking to you because it's all gotten cold.
Well,
The bear.
if you get one, let me know immediately, and if I'm available, I'll zip right up here.
The bears you've got to clean pretty quick, I think,
Yeah.
because I think they retain so much heat that I think it can kind of spoil some of it if you don't do it fast. And I've never cleaned one, so that might just be a throwing up parts and wasting some good stuff. But
How to clean a bear.
it's one thing I love about animals. They're made of meat.
Right. But
yeah, that was our leftovers. We had
I took a picture. If I still have it, I'll put it like here.
our little area. It's a nice, affordable steak place.
Yeah.
It's
Anymore, that really is one of the things about going out for steak. If you're gonna go, you're gonna expect to spend a good amount of money.
we went for birthdays the other day. We have several March birthdays in our family. To the other one is at a Longhorn Steakhouse or something. And for the price of what that was just it was unimpressive. It's the prices have gone up, and the quality of what you're getting is like
That's everything.
yeah.
What was it? I recently there's a restaurant near me that has pretty good cheesesteak. And that's one of the things we're always on the lookout for is good cheesesteak, because a lot of it's mediocre. And there was also near us, there was like a little gas station that would cook them, but it's turned over like 4 or 5 times in the past 15 years or so.
Yeah.
So the people who cooked the cheesesteak that we like they're long gone. And this new place that we found, I went in there recently, and it was like $17 for just cheesesteak, and I was like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was thinking, okay,
That should be a steak.
yeah. I was like, if I go, it did have fries with it, but still, come on. I was like, okay, if I go to the store and get the steak, get the rolls, it would be cheaper per cheesesteak, but I don't need like 6 cheesesteaks. I need 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's everything, and everything is price going up, quality's going down.
That's the whole goal of what's going on, is that they're trying to get you conditioned to where you don't think twice about calling somebody, getting them to go pick up your $6 fast food meal,
Yeah.
and paying $25 for it because it's more convenient for them to bring it to you than it is for you to own a car and pay insurance and drive out and go get it and come back.
I'm of the age to where I think a lot of people around my age, do that with the meal delivery and whatnot. But I am just far too cheap. That's just the long and short of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I can drive 10 minutes and get it, I'm gonna go get it myself. I'm not gonna pay someone to come in.
If I have to
Bring
drive
my
10
food.
minutes, I'm going to go by the grocery store and buy like 2 cans of Spam, and I'll slice that up and
Yeah.
put it in a pan and make a sandwich. I'm just not doing that.
All I have to say is if we are living in a simulation, I think I could really do something about that.
Yeah. If you're gonna tie us into little tubes and
Please give us.
use us
Good
as
cheap
batteries, you could do a little bit better on the gas prices and in the meat.
Right. So let's get into our actual leftovers, which is pretty much it's Matrix franchise media.
Yeah.
Right. The non-mainline movies.
And there's a ton of it. I think we kind of agreed to kind of focus on probably the best of what's out there, and that is the Animatrix.
Yeah. Right. That's going to be primarily what we talk about.
Yeah, and there's a ton of other stuff to go into, but the Animatrix is a very large steak by itself. Let me see. Of course, I had that pulled up. Animatrix.
Well, you just want to go through like one by one?
Yeah, I was gonna say it was just looking. It was 2003,
Yep.
so they did this right before the second movie.
Yeah, it was, and it's a good thing they did because some of them do kind of tie the films in.
Yeah.
Like they're like interstitiary stories.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. Is that right?
1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6, 7. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they the way that they were released on DVD is they open with the final flight of the Osiris, which is the one that is the link between the two movies.
Right.
CGI animated, gives the story of they're flying around in the tunnels and stuff, and
Like literally, the Osiris is the
yeah, it's the ship.
machine, the ship.
Yeah, and get up to trying to broadcast or whatever it was they were trying to do, and then they just kind of stumble onto the fact that the machines are all gathered
They
and
see the drill.
drilling, and they've never seen the drill before, and they're digging down, and they figure out that like that's directly above like Zion, so that they've got to try to get a warning back to them, and the machines see them and start chasing them, and just a what are the most of these? Probably 5, or longer than 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes.
10, 15 minutes.
Just pure action of that. The girl plugs in, tries to get and the way they portray it in the story is that she's dropping like a package in the mail inside the Matrix,
Which
and,
I thought was a cool little world building part of the Matrix, and a lot of the stuff with the Matrix, it's fun to look back on it with how our world is developed, because a lot of it, like our mail doesn't really, like, we're not dependent on mail anymore.
yeah,
When was the last time you saw a public payphone? These sorts of things, like
yeah,
like, oh well, the Matrix has removed the exits, that sort of thing. I really like that part.
yeah. Especially the payphone thing.
Yeah.
That's such a big part of the Matrix story when they did it, and I don't know that there's one in Roanoke anymore. Maybe 1 or 2 somewhere random. You probably wouldn't want to touch them at this point.
I recently saw this video where a guy, I guess it was kind of like an art project or a sociology project. They bought 2 payphones and they put one in like San Francisco or something like that, like the most liberal city in America. And then they went to like the most conservative city in America. And on the one in the liberal city, it said, call a Republican, and call a Democrat for the one in the conservative city. And if you pick up the phone on that one end, it'll ring the other phone. And you can have a conversation with someone in a city that is ideologically not opposed, but opposite of you.
Yeah.
It sounds cool. It's kind of a kickback.
Just made me think of the thing where where Bart calls the kid in Australia and asks him to go check which way the toilet
Right.
flows, and he goes and he's gone for like 10 or 12 hours and comes back to tell him, and it causes a huge international incident because he won't pay the collect call and all that stuff. With references again that are probably just lost anybody under the age of probably 30 at this point.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so many Simpsons references that I wouldn't even get anymore because I stopped watching around season 12.
Yeah. But that's the basic gist of the first one.
And it was written by the Wachowskis.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah. And then they came right back into the 2-part thing. That's the second Renaissance.
I do want to talk more about the final flight
Oh yeah, go ahead.
of the Osiris. The animation specifically was like, I don't know if it was the same animation studio, but it used the same technology that Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within
That had to be
used.
I think when I did a lot of reading, watching. There's actually a nice extra on this DVD about the making of it.
Okay.
And I think it is the Final Fantasy people that did that. I mean, if you look at the faces and the way they light stuff and everything, it has to be the same people.
Now, at one point, I thought that like they had their own engine that did this, but apparently it was just like they had their own plug-in to some engine.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, and they had the Final Fantasy movie, The Spirits Within, and the Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Then they had like a Final Fantasy Advent Children. It was a Final Fantasy VII film, and this. And that was like all that studio did.
Yeah.
Now, at one point,
It's Studio Square USA.
Okay, yeah.
So if that's
At one point, they were hoping to have like digital actors and actresses, like the main character Aki Ross from the Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. They were wanting to put her in other movies like that same model as a digital actress. I kind of wish that came to pass. That'd be pretty cool.
yeah.
I really wish this technology. I guess continued. I wish they kept making movies that looked like this. Beowulf was another one. I don't think it was the same studio, but it was like the same fidelity of CG.
Yeah.
This is a genre of film, hyper realistic CG film that we don't really get anymore. I really wish we did.
The one that I saw the most stuff produced in was they made a bunch of Resident Evil sort of spin-off movies
Yeah.
in the same style.
I haven't seen any of those.
I tried watching the one and I could not get into it again. Most of the time I'm watching something that random. It's usually late at night and I'm usually 10 minutes into it, then I'm out. So they're ones I should probably try again, but they've made like 5 or 6 of those things at least.
I feel like they were made in the RE engine, like the same engine they make the video games in.
I'm sure it is.
Let's see.
But yeah, those I don't think they could just keep making them if nobody liked them. So there must be something redeemable there. I guess maybe it's more just getting into some of the other side characters and the deeper world of some of those video game things. But
It says that it's in proprietary CG animation software. It's not in the RE engine. Okay, interesting. Anyway, recently they announced that they're making a Firefly. Did you ever watch Firefly?
oh yeah,
Oh yeah, okay.
yeah. I've seen the thumbnails pop up on YouTube about the animated Firefly. I haven't watched any of those to get details on it.
It's just that all of the actors and actresses that were involved in Firefly are on board.
Yeah.
They have writers. They have everything they need, but money. That's essentially where they're at. All the people that would need to be involved have signed on. They're just trying to shop around, and I think what they're trying to do is show possible investors that there is an interest.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately, I'm not sure if there actually is. I think it's too late.
It's pretty far removed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you bring it up and most people are like, unless they're just pretty hardcore science fiction people or they're people our age,
Oh yeah,
they have no idea what it is.
like Gen Z, millennial. Yeah. We're
yeah,
the people that watched it 20 years ago now.
yeah. And we just rewatched it. It's been about a year ago. My wife had never seen it, and I'd seen parts
good.
of it. And I think I saw the movie before I saw the series. And
Oh no!
yeah,
What a way to ruin it.
yeah. I didn't know that there was one because we just didn't watch stuff like that. It was
For me, it was one of those things. I remember Serenity, because that's what the movie was called, right? Serenity.
Yeah.
I remember Serenity coming out, seeing the trailers for it, and being like, "Oh, that looks cool." I had no idea it was associated with Firefly at all. And then we watched Firefly, and then it was like, as we were watching Firefly, I was like, "Wait a minute, is that movie? That's the ship name."
yeah. I came into it from the other direction with
Yeah.
the Sarah Connor Chronicles, where she
Oh,
played the Terminator. Never seen her, and I think I looked to see what else she had done. I don't remember if she did that before or after.
Before
But then it was like, oh, here's a movie she was in.
Summer Glau.
Summer Glau. Yeah.
Yeah, I like literally the opposite direction. I had watched Firefly, and because of Firefly, I obviously would have been interested in Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles. But when I heard Summer Glau was going to be a Terminator, I was like, yes, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, Sarah Connor Chronicles is a great example too. Firefly, Sarah Connor Chronicles, any of these series that people might want more of that have been dead for a while, I want them to bring it back with CG that looks like this.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be 100% real, but like the Resident Evil shows or Resident Evil movies. To me, that's good enough. Because the last thing I want...
I say it all the time that I don't care if the special effects are not great if the story's good. Just like, give me something that I want to follow and I want to hear. Don't just give me something that looks nice that says that doesn't do anything.
I needed to look appropriate.
Oh yeah, I don't want to be like cosplayers with like foam swords. Like
right. But like the last thing I would want for Firefly is like, you were a fan of He-Man back in the day. Do you remember Thundercats?
Yeah.
Okay. There was a Thundercat series that was relatively recent, like in the past 10 years or so, called Thundercats Roar. Ever heard of this?
No.
All right. I'm going to bring that up. But, like, the last thing I would want is a Firefly show that looks like Thundercats Roar.
Okay.
And Thundercats was one of those things where, like, I watched it as a kid. I maybe had some toys of them, but I wasn't, like, super into it.
It was one of those things that it was on cable, and it
Here
was
we
just
go.
one of those things that we would see an episode here and an episode there, and not enough to ever really follow it. And
Yeah.
I think my parents had already declared at some point that, like, I already had G.I. Joe and He-Man stuff, and when you saw, like, Thundercat toys, and you're like, oh,
That's enough.
you'd be like, you would even get like,
Yeah.
oh, look. They'd be like, no.
Yeah. This is Thundercats Roar. If the Firefly animated show came out looking like this, my interest would just drop out.
Yeah.
The Star Trek Below Decks, when I heard of the concept, I was like, that sounds interesting. But then I saw the animation, and I was like, nah, no thanks. So it needs to at least seem like it's taking itself seriously.
There's been a bunch of iterations of G.I. Joe things over the years, kind of through when my son was a kid.
Oh, G.I. Joe in this, like, in like the Resident Evil style CG would be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, there was kind of like I guess the X-Men kind of did the same thing. Excuse me. Where they had more anime style. They did some of that with some of the G.I. Joe series and things like that. And I think they again probably just suffered of probably not having great writers involved and not really having a direction they wanted to go with it. It was probably just like, hey, can you guys make a show or like an hour and a half long movie so we can do this toy release?
Yeah.
And I don't think there was ever really the effort put into it to make any of it very good, but the little things that I've seen of all those things, at least they looked good. They were improvements over the old the original series where everybody ran with like the same little rifle and
Right.
shot little red pew-pews and nobody ever got shot or anything.
There was definitely a moment in American animation, I would say the mid-90s, where animation started to get really good.
Yeah.
But then CG came along and mucked everything up.
I really think you should be coming up with new franchises for kids today, not trying to just like remake things for them.
Across the board.
If you want to do anything else with like G.I. Joe or He-Man, make it for people that grew up with it.
Yeah.
Make it R-rated. Make it. There was a 1 hour like movie on Tubi or something I turned on the other night, and I think I slipped through some of it. But like when Snake Eyes showed up in that, like he ran through this group of guys. I had somebody cornered and like cut two of them in half and beheaded somebody, and I was like, where was that when I was a kid? It's like that's what I was playing with the toys downstairs, but it was like,
That Snake Eyes film was really good. I saw it in the theater. And I'm not a G.I. Joe fan.
yeah, yeah. I didn't see that one because that really attacks the lore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Snake Eyes is a blonde guy that got like his face burned in Vietnam,
Okay.
and they.
Kind of like with He-Man. I was
Yeah.
very like surface level. And, like, I maybe own 1, 2 G.I. Joes. You know?
Now, his whole thing is like he was saving people and had something explode in his face, and it just mauled him, rendered him unable to
yes.
speak, and burned his face. That's why he wears a mask. But he was a blonde-haired G.I. Joe looking.
Well, you could kind of apply what I was going to comment about She-Ra. Because I was going to say, like, they made the She-Ra show. But that seems so far removed from what He-Man was. Like, well, why even associate it with Masters of the Universe?
Yeah.
You know, it's Snake Eyes, that's kind of the same situation. Like, it sounds like that movie was so far removed from the lore of G.I. Joe. It's like, why even associate it with G.I.
Yeah.
Joe?
Just
You
make,
make something new.
make your own story about a ninja family and not.
We've discussed it before. In order to get those checks signed, they've got to associate it with something or a particular actress or a particular actor or something like that.
I'm gonna borrow. I think it was her name, Justine Bateman, that always just posts on Twitter all the time. Just hashtag make something new or make new movies.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna put that on the wall back there or something. Like just give us new stuff.
Man, there's a. I know people hate AI, and I at least understand and tentatively agree with pretty much all the arguments against AI. Like it's better to have human-made stuff. Yes, all of this. But I've seen some stuff that people have made with AI that I'm like, this is art. I don't know how to look at this other than it being art.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the argument is that it's it's stealing the styles from actual artists.
I mean,
But I mean,
How many?
how many other artists have stolen their idea from a previous artist that they've seen too? It's the same thing.
It's kind of like a calculator. You know, like a calculator can do the same thing a human can do. And there are some humans that are really fast at calculation mentally, but calculators are just more efficient by and large. And that's kind of like how I view at least the art side of AI. It's like, well, the process that AI goes through to learn style, or to make a style, or to get the slop style that's all AI seems to have, is that it learned from all the art that exists. Well, that's how artists do, human artists. They learn from art that exists and they come up with their own style. It's just that AI doesn't have that creative spark to actually make a new style, so they just end up with a style that's just kind of like generic.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a generic style that's kind of like a bunch of other styles. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I think once actual artists start using the tools of AI, I think we'll get some really amazing things.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I don't think CG films for like Firefly or G.I. Joe or anything are in our immediate future anyway.
Yeah, I think you can, even with AI augmenting other types of animation, you've seen that in stuff like Dan to Dan, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Those forms are so much more striking at this point that I'd rather see. I'd like to see something like Flight of Osiris animated in that style, because it would have been really striking.
Wild.
Yeah.
I think right now with animation studios, like the kinds of tools that are available to them are like the AI will do the in betweens.
Yeah.
Like they'll do the keyframes. The AI will like, instead of animating. I don't know all the terminology. Like on the 4s, they can animate on the 6s, and then AI will fill it in. Or whatever.
Episode of something we're watching that we'll get into in our advertisers next month. It proves that it was 100% like hand animated. They were having a scene focus on the main character, and in the background there was a guy that was standing there with his hands up, and he didn't move through the whole scene. He was just he was stuck in the background with his hands up, and it's like, I think somebody forgot to like edit it out. I was sitting there laughing. My wife was like, "What are you laughing at?" I was like, "Do you not see the guy standing there with his hands up?" She's like, "Oh yeah."
If the past few years people will point out the mistakes in AI art to prove it's AI, at some point it's going to be the opposite. They're going to like say, well, look, AI wouldn't have made this mistake, so this is real.
Yeah.
But I guess speaking of AI making mistakes, let's go to the second Renaissance, huh?
And we're really speaking about like animation style and stuff.
Beautiful.
It's a 2-part second Renaissance,
Beautiful.
part 1 and 2, done by Studio 4C, and directed by the designers of the Angels and Evangelion. The guy who did the animation stuff in Kill Bill. He did stuff in Ghibli. He's done all kinds of stuff. I went into like looking through what he'd done. I was like, wow, that's too many things to even get into. But
what are those things you see what they've done with their life, and you're like, wow,
yeah.
impressive.
I don't know the details.
Right.
He might be driving his Lamborghini by himself.
True.
But that one in particular, if you get into like the little mini thing they have on the DVD where they talk about how much time they spent with a lot of Japanese animation studios and producing the whole Animatrix thing. This is one of they're probably like most complex productions, the second Renaissance part 1 and 2. And it's really, I don't know if I've ever seen a better way to fill in that world when you have this post-apocalyptic film, or you have this world in the future, or you have whatever galaxy far, far away, whichever world you're making your thing in, where you want that little bit of backstory to kind of explain it all. These two things are probably less than 30 minutes total for the 2 parts of them. Mm-hmm. Explains it all.
It's great.
I mean, it's probably the most concise, but like most interesting thing to watch, because it starts from how we started using robots and AI to do our work for us, and how we became a decadent society, and then like goes into the part where the owner wants to destroy his robot, and the robot kills him in self-defense, and starts a trial over whether or not they have a right to do that or not, or who has a right to do. And that starts into just like pretty much takes us to 2026, where half the world will riot over anything, and the other half's like, we all just get a job and get a life. That's basically what the world breaks down into there, is that all these people become robot advocates, and it starts a bunch of chaos and kind of makes that opening for for AI to just come in and kind of take over. And but I mean, really, it's still in self-defense. They step into the space and they start making like robotic cars and stuff, and they kind of withdraw after people start attacking robots everywhere. And
Pretty much they create their own. 01 is their own nation
they
essentially.
make their own little city, and it just becomes
And
like super efficient, making tens of hundreds of times more money more efficiently than anywhere else in the world, and it's kind of collapsing the global economy.
it's almost like they make a robot Wakanda, where it's like you have their city has all this technology that the world wants because it's far and above, way better than anything that we would currently have in the rest of the world.
The the reference is that you can't have this discussion today without people just closing their brain off and turning into social media idiots. There's a lot of references in this to Zion and Israel and the chosen land and chosen people kind of thing. And I think isn't there like a scene where they're kind of zooming out on the world and coming into where 01
I think
is,
so.
and they say it's like basically where the cradle of civilization is. So like 01 basically starts either in Egypt or Israel.
Yeah, let's see where it is.
They don't really focus on it there. It's just
Right.
one of those things for you to notice if you notice those kind of things. And if not, it doesn't. It's not that important really in the story. But I guess the last 6 months, if you even bring that up, you're either a pro this or an anti that, and it's not even worth it getting into those kind of conversations at this point with people.
Well, I mean, like you said, it says the quote here is banished from humanity, the machines sought refuge in their own promised land. They settled in the cradle of human civilization,
I mean,
and thus a new nation was born.
That's the
A
story.
place-
That's the story of Israel in the '60s. I mean, it's
A place the machines could call home, a place they could raise their descendants, which is interesting.
yeah,
And they christened the nation 01.
yeah. I mean, it's
So yeah, Middle East, Mesopotamia specifically. It says,
yeah,
yeah, which
but
in the situation in which machines would want to make their own nation if they weren't going to build off of something that currently existed. Because I mean, really, right now, if like the AI came up and was like, "Hey, we want our own land," it would be like Silicon Valley. You'd be like, oh, "Okay, they're just going to take that."
yeah.
But if they were going to start from scratch, be like, "Well, we're going to go somewhere," that would make sense.
Just go to the desert where there's
Yeah.
claim land that nobody wants, and
Well, and at this point in time in the story, they were primarily solar powered. So
yeah, they do that, and of course we respond. The world responds by basically trying to like sanction them and attack them because they've become more successful. So
yeah,
no similarities there to, to anything going on today. And then
the head of the state is the Deus ex machina. Okay.
yeah, I think I still kind of wonder how much that term has been applied to stuff post that coming out, and how
Might have
much of that was referred to that at the time. Because
Yeah.
I don't remember that term being used so much, but it seems like all of a sudden it's used for
Well, it's
everything.
It's a literary thing, so.
Yeah.
So
But
I think it might be more like a fourth wall thing.
yeah, they eventually escalates to the point that they decide they need to like shut the machines down. So that's when they come up with the plan to torch the sky.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that's one of my I think that's where that scene comes in. It's always one of my favorite scenes from that whole thing, where they have all these people in like a UN type building, all sort of applauding and stuff.
Yeah, you're surrender your flesh, or is that what you're talking about before that?
Before that, where they're all like cheering.
And there's like two robots, one male, one.
No, this
male,
is
one
they're
female?
cheering about their little resolution to torch the sky,
Oh, okay.
and then they show them all like clapping.
This is not when the robots were visiting them.
No.
In the UN. Okay.
They say they'll come back there. It won't be the last time that you're in this building.
Yeah.
But it goes from this scene of all these guys in military uniforms all clapping to like these skeletons that are just sitting there like clapping.
Mm-hmm.
I love that transition to
visual.
the scene.
Mm.
You know, they talk about how it's not without a sense of irony that they wouldn't have had to enslave humans and turn them into batteries if we didn't take away their power source.
Yeah.
So every action has a equal and opposite reaction. And then it gets right into the machines start sort of lashing out in different directions, and we try to fight them. And I love those scenes, man. It's like originally there's like kind of just mixed robots that are forming armies, and then it kind of like quickly turns into where they've got some sentinels, early sentinels that are flying around, and they have the basically like the machines that are the power sources that have the big red things on their back are walking and just shooting like energy lasers out and just frying people, and we're fighting them with we're launching nukes at them and stuff, and it's like even that stuff is effective on them, and then you start to see early versions of like our guys in mech suits and stuff like that fighting them, and of course we just get destroyed, mauled by them.
So, the reason humanity fought Zero One, because Zero One, isolated. They're like, we're our own nation. We're creating this new stuff, and they're becoming an economic superpower.
Yeah.
And the reason humanity attacked them is because you're a threat,
Yeah.
right?
You're,
I wonder if there's been any what if stories that have explored the idea of like, well, what if humanity didn't?
yeah.
Like, would it have just everybody just have flourished, or would there have there been an inevitability of conflict and for some reason, or machines saying, well, we don't, you know what, we're spending all these resources to give you stuff. It doesn't benefit us any, so we're just going to stop, and then the whole world starves or something like that. I don't know.
I may have brought this up here. I forget who I've had these conversations with, but you're taught growing up that the Civil War was over freeing slaves, but the whole thing with Fort Sumter and all that becoming the kind of impetus that started the war was that 90% of the government was, at the time, you're not talking about a huge government like budget and a lot of revenue sources in the 1850s and 60s, but at the time 90% of it was funded by tariffs that were on the ports, on the southern ports, export import stuff. And when they seceded and pulled that away, it cut
Away a lot of the revenue.
It cut away 90% of the government revenue, and the reaction to that was, well, let's attack them. And there's lots of real world things for that, and of course it's easier now to come back and say, oh, we killed hundreds of thousands of Americans because of slavery, because that sounds better. It's like we killed them over tariffs, but
imagine what our current situation, how that'll be written in the future. They'll come up with something.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's an interesting correlation between those two. It's like, well, they're more successful, or they're going to actually hurt our money, so let's kill them.
Yeah.
That's basically the same thing. And it gets into
the pursuit of money is the root of all evil.
Yeah. It kind of goes through that little progression of kind of us starting it and then finishing it.
Yeah.
It comes back to the robot letting the people that are the leaders that started the whole thing that are still alive coming back to the robots and basically making a treaty or compromising with them, thinking they're still going to come out of it, and then they sign over the flesh, and that thing's...
Or like, surrender your flesh. That is such a good line.
It's got a thing where it's like signing this thing that looks like the Declaration of Independence, but it's signing it like a barcode, and then it just blows itself up and just kills all of them, and you're like, okay, be careful who you get in bed with.
Yeah.
That's so many like little lessons, mini lessons through those two little things you could just talk about for hours, and it is the... I have opinions about which ones are my favorite. That is the best part of the Animatrix,
Yeah,
I think,
100%.
by far. It's...
I think it would be hard to make an argument that that isn't the second Renaissance Part 1 and 2 isn't like the reason the Animatrix exists.
Yeah.
Like they were like, we need to put this information out there.
That and the Final Flight
story.
makes the little link. May have been that you can kind of tell that the Final Flight was an American studio kind of thing. Yeah. You can tell that this was their collab with Japanese animation stuff, and then I think the rest of it was like, we've got access to all these people, and it's like, let's do some more stuff. But the next one down the line is the kid's story.
I have them in order that, at least I thought.
The Wikipedia order is not right. It's not the same as they're on the disc.
Okay.
I did them in the order that they're on 1 through 9 on the disc.
Oh, okay.
On the CD, or the DVD. The kid's story is Studio 4C. Mm-hmm. That's the director of Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, and Space Dandy.
Okay.
And that is the one about the kid on the skateboard and the kid that becomes the character in the second movie.
Yeah, one that kills himself and wakes up.
Yeah, yeah.
This one is my least favorite out of all of them.
It really was one that I like by itself. I just didn't like that it had to reinsert itself into the movie. I think I disliked the animation a little bit because of the way that character was in the movie. If it just stood alone like it was, I kind of liked it. I like the idea of the kid, a kid messing around online, kind of having some of the same experiences as Neo, and trying to get away from the agency. Skateboards through the school, and the animation of all that's pretty cool. And then he just gets to the roof and jumps off, but then they pull him out. He's waking up as he jumps off the thing, and he wakes up to Neo and Trinity talking to him. And
A lot of the Animatrix is world building,
yeah,
and that's kind of what you see in most of these. Is it kind of gives you like a breadcrumb, a little extra morsel that helps flesh out the world of the Matrix. Obviously, the second Renaissance ones, told you the backstory, but this one, along with World Record, gives you like alternate ways that people have come out of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Which is, I appreciate that it's there.
yeah.
I don't much, I don't much care for the implications of that. Hey, if you kill yourself, you gotta come out of the Matrix.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah.
that's- ooh, whew.
Yeah, that's a
Don't let
probably wouldn't
young
make
children watch this.
probably wouldn't make that one in today's world, but
Just it's one of those things where I think it's and as a parent, you probably understand this is a lot more than me. Is it's important to talk to your kids.
yeah, yeah.
That's one of the things I've probably mentioned it before. My dad and I played D&D. Like he DM'd and I played D&D when I was a kid. And after every session, he'd stop and be like, "All right, I just want you to make sure you understand the actions that we took that you decided in this are fictional. This is a fictional world." It was good. It was good.
We missed just by the tail end of it that era of kids just being glued to their phones all the time.
Yeah.
Our kids had flip phones coming through school, and they had kids that had their little Siri thing, and they'd bring it to school, and everybody would all huddle around them and say, "Hey, ask Siri this, ask Siri that." So they had access to all that stuff, but they didn't have them when they were alone at home. Mm-hmm. So they were not accessible to all the freaks out there that are preying on children like they are now.
Just not that. It's just misinformation.
Yeah, the
Misinformation, media that kids shouldn't be exposed to.
yeah.
Yeah, here comes digital ID.
Yeah. The one that follows that is a beautiful one. It's the program.
Yeah.
And that's the one where the girl's like getting her loyalty tested, but it's in like a samurai world.
Now,
and this is Madhouse. It's the director of Wicked City, Ninja Scroll, and Vampire Hunter D.
Oh, yeah.
So if you know those names, you can probably imagine the animation if you hadn't even seen the Animatrix. But especially Wicked City and all that series of movies, it's what you could tell it's the same animators, and it's so cool looking.
It's definitely a specific style, and it's a beautiful style. And I remember when I first saw the Animatrix and this one came up, I was just confused. I was like, wait a minute, this is feudal Japan. It gave me all sorts of questions about like, well, hang on a second. Well, what are there multiple matrices? Or is this like is there a history of the Does the Matrix encompass all of our history? But then at the end, it's like no.
Yeah, it's just a training program.
It's training program.
She finds out that he was just testing her to see if she would agree to get plugged back in.
If she would betray them.
She passes the
Matrix.
test and gets unhooked and just comes up and just punches him in the mouth. It's like, F you.
And again, just a little bit of world building. Show you another group of people. Show you how they test each other.
This is what this
Shows you that
the basic movie should have done. Is it should have just been spinning out into all sorts of stuff like this. You could have had a weekly series that would have been like focuses on a different ship crew each time, and not have to be like the drama of some crew where you have to insert all this relationship crap or anything like that. You could
a Matrix weekly animated series would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking even like even the style of like Reboot, from like the 90s, where even if it was geared toward more toward children, which the Matrix in general, I mean, kid story aside, there's not a lot that I wouldn't be comfortable young
Yeah, no,
children watching. It's just
our kids weren't
sci-fi
young
stuff.
when they watched them. We watched them as they were
Yeah,
teens growing up,
Yeah,
but
there's
we
really
watched
not
them.
a lot of stuff that's offensive in it.
No, no, it's the stuff that kind of ekes its way into the background in the second and third movies, and we've talked about that with the Wachowskis
Yeah.
getting into this weird sex culture they got into, and they brought too much of that with them. But then, thankfully, was just in a few scenes like where there's dancing in Zion, where there's
Yeah, that was, and I think we've mentioned this before, but I think everybody, when you were watching the Matrix Reloaded, you were like, "What? What's going on?
you
This is Zion. This is weird."
could have cut that whole thing out, and that movie
Yeah.
would have been just fine. But they made it. I didn't, so
So it is what it is.
it is what it is. The one that follows this, I was trying to get to this because I do have a lot more to say about this one. This is my favorite. It's the world record. It's also done by Bad House.
And it also answers a question we had earlier. We'll talk about it when
Okay.
we get there.
It's the director of Redline, Afro Samurai,
Yep.
and Lupin the Third.
When I was rewatching these, there was a lot of there was a lot of hey, I recognize this animation now.
Yeah.
Because I've watched more stuff.
One of
since
the fun
I
things
first
about
watched
anime
this.
is, I don't know, it doesn't mean anything to be like, oh, I know who did this.
Yeah.
Or I remember that actress from that movie. It's just a thing that I do because my brain works that way. And I love seeing like 5 minutes of an anime I haven't seen. I'm like, oh, this has to be the same people that did so and so. And you go look it up and you're like, yep,
Yeah.
yes, it is.
That's one thing. Us getting together and talking about things we've watched and stuff. That's one thing it's gotten me into, is being more of a fan of animation styles and particular studios. Because before, I didn't really pay attention. And it's not that I didn't notice so much that the styles were different between studios. It's that I didn't really care, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, whatever. It's a different animation studio.
I think
But I've learned a deeper appreciation for the different styles that anime can provide.
the majority of people probably watch stuff and are just like, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
But I think when you get into people that are, I'm not trying to elevate above anybody, just when you get people that are fans of stuff or that appreciate different things, you do focus on, like, just one of the things I love about anime is the artwork.
Yeah.
And
I think it began for me. I think it began with Cyberpunk 2077 Edge Runners.
the game.
Well, the anime that was
Oh.
based on the game, because I played the game. I was like, this game is so cool. I love this world. And
Gotcha.
then, like, there's an anime. I was like, there's a what? And I watched the anime. I was like, this animation style is crazy. And it was like right before we started doing all this. Well, I say right before. It's probably like a year before. But yeah, Studio Trigger. So that's really like the first time I looked at a studio and was like, well, what else have they done?
Yeah.
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 It's a great way to watch anime. It really is.
I flipped on a Turner Classic Movies Saturday night thing to Princess Mononoke as it was like starting, and just caught the tail end of that little guy that gave his little speech about the movie before they would show their feature movie each night. I was like, they're going to show a cartoon? I was like, okay. And like 10 minutes into that, I was just like,
This is amazing.
I was blown away by the whole style of stuff, and that literally just, that's the first anime I'd ever seen. So the story of the world record is a sprinter named Dan, who basically pushes himself past his limits to the point that he breaks himself free. I think he is the only person other than the first Neo, or the first one, that ever broke himself free.
Do they explicitly say that?
Don't know if they say that in the thing. I picked that up in reading and asking questions to the
Because
internet and stuff.
This idea of breaking yourself free because of stress, essentially, that could be, I just think that could be applied to so many different stories. Like you could have, of course, we don't really know what the history of the world is like the Matrix. Like we don't know if they exist in the late 90s, but did the Matrix start any earlier than that? Probably not. But
In the lore of the Matrix, wherever I found this, and again,
Oh, okay.
I didn't footnote it. The first one was the first person born in the Matrix, and he was the only other person to ever wake himself up. And
yeah, I
he's
feel like that might have been in the films.
probably
Yeah,
was.
They might have said that in the
Might have
films.
been the first film when they were sitting in the chair and Morpheus is describing
Yeah.
everything to Neo, and Neo's
Or
just sitting
the-
there like, what
Or the architect or something said something about it. I don't know.
And the
So-
architect,
there was
they
some
would-
exposition.
the architect would have been like, heretofore before the...
Yeah.
I can't even...
Aforementioned in the.
I don't even have the vocabulary to even make fun of that guy.
Then you watch V for Vendetta, and you're like, that's impressive for all those V's.
The the base story in this thing is the guy broke 9.8 in the qualifying round of, I don't know if this is Olympics, they don't really ever say,
Sure.
running the 100 meters.
Yeah.
And
Runners are always qualifying for something. Like,
what's so cool about this, and I don't know, I guess this happened in 2003, so they had time to adjust things. I went through the history of the 100 meter and just kind of tracked what happened with it and time wise. The first time they ever have a recorded time was in 1891. And that was a 10.8 100 meter, so a full second slower than what he did there.
as a non-runner, you're like, okay.
Yeah. When you think about,
But yeah, they're down to like the hundredths of a second
when you get into hundredths of a second in this race, it's literally like if you took that and applied that to like a marathon, it's like minutes.
Okay.
So it's significant to like get 2 or 3 tenths faster in this, because they're already like running at basically the limits of what's possible physically. That's the whole idea of the story.
Yeah.
1936, Jesse Owens, with all the German Olympic stuff, he ran a 10.2. And then there's a point in there too where they changed their timing stuff, and they actually had an official thing. That might be 1891 when they started actually having something they could verify as something other than a dude with a stopwatch standing there.
For the invention of the photograph probably helped with that.
Could be. 1960 was the first time somebody ran a 10 flat. It was a 10.0. 1968, somebody 8 years later got a 9.9, so just a tenth. 1991, and this will get into our age group. Carl Lewis, I'm sure watching the Olympics, you at least recognize that name.
Nope.
Not at all. he was one of the big faces of the Olympics back then.
Okay.
Wheaties boxes, all that good stuff. He ran a 9.86.
Okay.
Then in 1999, which is the year of the first Matrix, somebody ran a 9.79. So
Okay.
it's the first time somebody broke 9.8, which is what he broke in the world record thing. Not again until 2008 with Usain Bolt. I know you know him.
Yeah.
He ran a 9.69, so he jumped it by a full tenth.
That's impressive.
And then in 2009, he ran a 9.58. And it has not been, nobody's gotten close to that since. That still stands. When he broke
15 years. That's a good record, man.
when he broke free in the Matrix, if you look at the clock,
Yeah.
when he tumbles over the line, collapsed,
I would not have paid attention to that at all.
it's
but-
8.72. So
Okay,
he
wow.
ran almost a full second
Full
faster
second
than
faster.
Usain Bolt.
Okay.
And literally like blew his legs apart doing it, which is the whole idea of that. Just like being able to push yourself past the point to where you're actually ripping muscles and stuff, to me is just one of those things. I'm like,
I appreciate that.
that
kind
makes
of,
me want to go outside and like start smashing things and fighting bears. I'm just like, that's awesome.
kind of an inverse of my comment about how I feel like the Matrix should be farther in the future than it's set farther in the future than it actually is. Like that, I think they did a good job of saying, well, let's give it something to where, like, give it a time to where it's fast enough to where we probably won't see this ever actually broken.
Yeah.
But it's realistic enough to where you could believe that someone could push themselves to that.
If you've watched Usain Bolt run and think about somebody that would be where he is on the track, sometimes marginally far ahead of somebody being a full second ahead of him, and how ridiculous that would be. You would think you're watching AI or something.
Yeah.
And as he's like waking himself up and pushing beyond, the machine restrains him. Like basically gets he pops up out of the pod that he's in. The machine kind of restrains him, puts him back down, and like
Docbot.
it just like lobotomizes him. It just electrocutes his brain and just turns him back into a vegetable. And then you come to the end where like he's being wheeled up a hallway by a nurse, and he's in a
Some
wheelchair.
agent saying he'll never walk again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I still don't know if I have an answer for it. He's carrying walnuts. I don't know if it's supposed to be like the hard shell that's hard to break. He's got them in his hand and he drops them. And when he drops them, he breaks the restraints. And they've got him like into a chair so he doesn't fall out. They've got like metal clasp on his leg. He breaks those. He says free, says the words free 2 times. He says it while he's sitting there, and he says it when he stands up, and he's like reaching for there's like a cross that he sees like kind of backlit through a window. And then he collapses. And then then that's where the agents are like, yeah, he's under control. He'll never do that again. that whole that whole thing. And if you need like a motivational thing for anybody that's like working on something physically, some kind of goal you're trying to get to in sports or lifting or any of that kind of stuff, it's like watch that thing and just go do, as soon as it's done, go do what it is you're trying to do, because it's, I think it's one of the most motivational things I think I've ever seen. And I wrote at the end of this, I was like, why couldn't they made a movie about this guy?
Right.
I was like, you have basically the second one. You know, this is the first guy since the very first one that's actually been able to do this. Is like, you can't just like not give me more story of this guy. It's like that. I mean, good lord, all the stuff that they're always trying to work in diversity and all this kind of stuff. It's like he was a black character. He's a sprinter. That would have given you a lead character for another movie. It was like, just give me a movie on this guy. It would be amazing.
I think the idea is kind of showing that, yes, he woke himself up. He pushed himself to the point of waking up out of the Matrix, but he didn't have that whole support structure of like Morpheus and all the other people.
Yeah.
I think that's probably kind of the idea, is like it shows you how like thoroughly the Matrix has everybody.
Yeah. I mean, Neo got woke up by taking the pill, and
Right.
even if he'd woken himself up and they decided to flush him instead of restrain him in the first movie.
Yeah.
So they just kind of flush him out of the system. He falls into the water. If the ship hadn't been there to just pick him back up, then Neo would have just drowned, because he didn't have any muscles. He couldn't move. It was.
That's one of the questions that I've seen people ask about the Matrix, is like, well, when people wake up, why doesn't the Matrix kill them? And I think the idea is the Matrix is, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
When they flush them, they're like, they're gonna die.
Yeah, they're just gonna. I mean, he had no muscle. They spend that whole scene. I love that part in the first Matrix where they have him and he's got acupuncture needles in like every
Trying to build
muscle on
muscle
his
back.
body, because he's never used his muscles before. And he's like, "Why do my eyes hurt?" It's like, you've never used them before. But the possibility of this dude being such a beast that even after they literally like shocked his brain into like not being able to function, and he still was just like, nah. It's like, I'm gonna break out of my chair and try to walk again. I would love to see some kind of continuation with that character. That's my favorite story of that whole series. But
The I asked the internet about the walnuts, and this is what Reddit has to say. So hey, take it for what it is. One person said that the walnuts look like a brain. It was symbolic of him breaking his mind open.
yeah,
Okay, makes sense.
yeah,
That's
because
good enough.
walnut material kind of looks like a brain inside when you do that.
That's fine. I'm fine with that. The question that we had that I think this answers is whether or not once an agent takes over a body, if the body dies.
Yeah,
The agents took over the fellow runners for like milliseconds. They were in the runners because it was like they were like showing a slow motion of
Yeah.
him running.
they were trying to like grab.
And they were trying to
him.
grab at him, and they were the other runners.
Yeah,
And once he falls, the other runners run past him.
yeah,
It's like no one died in that situation. So I think between that, and there is a story in the comic books. Maybe we'll talk about that. Where, I think he's like a serviceman, like a
like a utility guy or
a
something.
utility guy or something.
Yeah.
He gets taken over by an agent, and the agent kills a runner, and then the agent leaves, and the guy's there like, there's
Just
a person dead in front of me now.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean that always happens. I could see an agent like both of those situations. It was for a temporary amount of time. I
Yeah.
could see an agent burning through somebody.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea too of like, though, you just did something horrific on behalf of the agent, and then like all of a sudden he leaves you, and you're just standing there like, why is there dead people all around me?
It's kind of like, I mean, that's like the 13th floor,
Yeah,
where someone takes over your body, does some stuff, and well, still you that did it. But that was a pretty great story.
that's my favorite by far. It's, production wise, compared to some of the other ones, I think obviously the Renaissance Part 1 and 2 is above and beyond that. And you can make arguments for all the other ones too, probably depending on what your favorite anime is and which one kind of relates to you. The one beyond, or the next one beyond that, is Beyond.
That's the Gravity Cat one.
And that's the Studio 4C also, directed by the animator of Akira and Robot Carnival, Fist of the North Star, and Kiki's Delivery Service.
This is a good looking one. For the story, you can leave it. Take it or leave it.
I like this story too. One of the things to just note, if you just go through and look at the stuff that I've referenced on all of these so far, is this is the biggest hitters from anime. The fact that they got all of these people to come in on this project is
Yeah.
pretty impressive. These are all, think of this in 1999, 2003 terms, Dan to Dan, Attack on Titan, things like that. My Hero Academia, all that stuff, it wasn't even a thought in anybody's mind yet. These animes that I've listed were the biggest properties, and they had people from every one of these come in on this thing, and
Well,
that's
like-
impressive.
I mean, like I said, when we were talking about the films, the Matrix for a moment in time was bigger than Star Wars.
Yeah,
So I mean, and this was the point at which it was.
Yeah.
Like this,
yeah, and it's a shame that it just didn't hold on to that.
yeah.
But the Beyond kind of explores that anomaly that's of the film, the anomaly the architect talks about, and it grows, and they have to destroy it each time that they redo the Matrix. I love the fact that the way they've kind of portrayed as kids and animals are the most likely to see what we pass every day and we don't even notice. And these little anomalies in the Matrix, that's who picks up on this one, or the girl's cat that wanders off and kind of finds the area, and all these little kids that are there playing. And I think the way he described it, the architect, he's like, it's unavoidable, it's systemic flaw in the code, some of a remainder of an unbalanced equation, and it's necessary to allow choice for the people that are in the Matrix to accept it, but it leads to instability, and this is a little example of like what that instability
Okay. I was
is.
going to say, I always took the anomaly itself was Neo. Was the one, the anomaly was the one.
I think it's just that I always kind of took it to mean that little things like this would just grow and keep compounding each time until you almost had to come to a head, and you had to like reinsert everything and destroy it all and start it back over again.
Well, I mean, it's just the basic idea of your computer. If you leave it on for too long, RAM's going to fill up,
Yeah.
data's going to get corrupted.
It's
You got to turn it off and turn it back on.
I thought this was a genius way to like kind of to give you like an idea of what that would be like inside of this little computer land.
Yeah.
That there's the city going on. They show lots of times of people crossing intersections and all that day-to-day buzz of just adult life that nobody is even paying attention to anything. But they find this like a little pocket, and they think it's like a haunted house, and the kids can jump down and they'll float instead of hit the ground,
Right.
and there's lots of like gravity anomalies and stuff like that. And I think I threw a note down here too. They talk about how you had to allow choice for the people that were in the Matrix to accept being in it. And we talked about the Oracle at one point, and somewhere in just me searching through stuff on the internet, I came across something. As I put the note here that the Oracle was like basically like a psychiatrist program that was tasked with helping people accept it. So she was the one that was kind of helping people form the idea of it can't just be a utopia. You have to have choice. You have to
Right.
have the little day-to-day things, and
Well, that's
the
in order to feel like you have freedom, you have to have choice. You have to have
and it
strife that you have to work against,
and she
if it's just completely great.
she separates and becomes an oracle because she helped them do that in the programming when they finally got to this is how we make this thing work. But then she wasn't needed after that, and just like every other program that's needed, you either get reinserted or consumed by the Matrix, or you go into exile. And she's just one of the ones that's in exile. But
Well, we also learned by the end of the series that the one anomaly is even a part of the system of control, so she's even part of the system of control.
yeah. But this one is a fun one too.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder to kind of like. It seems like it's kind of vanilla.
Yes.
But I like if you kind of pay attention to the details of it and stuff. I like the way that it.
One of the things I really enjoyed about the idea of the Matrix is where they explain a lot of the things that are in our world and things that are in our history and lore and culture through being like Matrix anomalies.
Yeah.
So like the idea that a haunted house or lightning balls, like those things, like, well, it's just an anomaly of the Matrix. The werewolves, ghosts, those are old programs.
This is what I miss about.
It's a cool way to justify supernatural elements of the world.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's really what I miss about this era of filmmaking, where that instead of people being like, how do we fit in this narrative and this narrative and this narrative and this narrative, is somebody sat down and it's like, there's an anomaly in the Matrix, and these little flaws and stuff that happens. Is like, what would that look like inside the computer?
Yeah.
And somebody's like, well, I don't know. What do you think it would look like? And they actually, people came around and came up with a story and ended up with this girl looking for a cat, finding this haunted house. And it's like the collaboration of ideas. I haven't seen anything like that in the last 10 years at least.
They've tried.
There's a few people that have gotten close, but just to sit down and be like, here's an idea, what would that look like? And people actually being able to get there without not, they can't get there now without having to insert themselves into it. And
I think Star Wars Visions tried to like take the spirit of the Animatrix,
yeah,
except those were a lot of like legends. Like the things that happened in Visions didn't happen in the world of Star Wars. Everything that happened in the Animatrix happened in the world of the Matrix.
the thing that I remember, I've only watched Visions once.
Thing you remember is the umbrella lightsaber.
The only thing I remember is that the ones that were obvious anime based ones were good, and the ones that were American ones were garbage. And that's kind of what I took away from those.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing. It's what I'm talking about, is that the American ones, the writers had to insert their little, whatever their personal thing is, whether it's their identity or their sexuality or whatever, they had to try to insert that into a thing about Jedi. And I'm like, it's not part of that, guys. Just tell me a
Cool Jedi story.
Jedi story. And like the Japanese ones, there was a couple that was like I don't remember them in detail. I remember there was a couple that were kind of like, seemed like samurai stories, but they were with like lightsabers, and
Yeah.
those were cool. But again, I watched that because we had access to it and somebody wanted to watch it, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll watch it. And that's about, that's my commentary on all
There's
those.
a couple of cool ones in there.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the next one?
Next one is the detective story.
Okay.
Same studio that did the kid story, so the same guys. This really is like I don't know if it's one of the only, but it's a prequel story for Trinity,
Right.
where it's Trinity before she finds Neo, and they do it in this like film noir sort of detective style. And
Well, was it before? Because wasn't it Morpheus that put the detective on Trinity's trail? That's what I remember of it.
the detective story,
Let me look it up. You
I
keep
don't
going.
remember.
Okay.
It's one that doesn't really have a whole lot that happens in the story. Is
Yeah.
that he gets on Trinity's trail, finds her. It was agents that hired him.
It was agents that hired him to
Yeah.
look for Trinity. Okay.
Yeah, I've got that down there. I didn't realize I
Yeah.
did. Agents hired him. They put a bug in him to get to her,
Right.
and he didn't realize
that's right.
that. And then she gets him, pulls the bug out of his eye, which again I'm glad that was animated and not real, because I hate eye stuff.
See, do this stuff in animation, man.
And it's kind of one of those things where I think maybe she was sort of testing him to see, is like, is this somebody that could join us? And then like he starts to become an agent.
Right.
Agent starts to jump into him, so she shoots him.
Say sorry.
And basically, just the whole idea of that whole story is like, we tested this guy out, and he wasn't ready.
Right.
He wasn't ready to see what the truth was, and
Which was cool to see, like a failed
yeah,
attempt at getting someone out of the Matrix.
that's again just like the Beyond, where it's like, what would it look like if we showed like a corner of the computer program that had a flaw, and that this is like, what would it be like if if they tried to get somebody out like Neo and it was the wrong guy, and it was like, how many people do they have of the people that are actually freed that are parts of these crews, how many of them have they tried to get, and they couldn't get them, or the people were freaked out when you woke them up and showed them everything, and this was like, you put me back in, give me the blue pill, I don't want to see any more of this. And this guy was kind of on that borderline. I think he wanted to be there, but he just wasn't a strong enough dude to do it, and she put a bullet in him, and that was the end of it. And she jumped out, and he was sitting there smoking his last cigarette when the agents came to I guess reinsert him or finish him off. I'm not sure which. And then were you looking up anything else on that one?
No.
The last one was Matriculated. And
Oh,
This
that was
was
the one with the reprogramming robot.
it's DNA production. It's the people that did Jimmy Neutron and the Ant Bully, but it was directed by the.
If you had asked me, I would be like, oh, the guy who did Aeon Flux did this, right?
It's the director
Oh, no,
directed
it's
by
okay.
is directed by the creator of Aeon Flux.
Okay.
But that the studio was the. I was looking at the studio. Like I was like, did I spell the studio wrong? It's like the Jimmy Neutron and the Ant Bully. But that was the.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I guess there's people in some animation studios that are drawing stuff like that Thundercats thing that you showed me that are like
Right.
wishing they had a real job. But matriculated is like basically the idea of, and again, I just love that these things probably started with somebody asking a question and they all sort of brainstormed these things and the ideas. It's like, could you wake a machine and show it choice? Is basically
Yeah.
the whole idea of this thing. And there's people in the real world that are being attacked by like different sentinels, smaller sentinels that they've got like little, almost individual size sentinels that are still things that will attack people. And they try to take one over and see if they can turn it. They show it like childlike games. They show it fun things. They show what it's like. Let it see what it's feel like to be subjugated and like chained up.
They kind of show it humanity.
Then they show it human
Yeah.
affection, and then they're showing it pretty much all the things that humans go through and letting it see that this is what we are. And then in the middle of all that, they they get attacked for real, and it sort of sits there and watches and doesn't really, I guess, know whether or not to intervene or not. It's still on the fence trying to decide which way it's going to go. And then of course all the people that were the ones that were trying to free it all get killed, and it's just left there. And you kind of get the sense that it's probably awake at that point because they show it like there's like there's like a little lake or something that the machines come across to attack them. They're on like the other shore. It's
From what I remember, yeah, it was almost like a peninsula or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's sitting on the same like little shoreline that the people were sitting on at the beginning when they were talking, just sitting there staring off across the lake like the
Yeah.
people were. So they woke a machine up, but it didn't act in time. All of the people that freed it got killed, and it was left all alone to be a little sad machine.
Did the machine try to like pull the mind of the woman that was like training him essentially?
I think she was like
Like she was dying and
she was dying, and
like
I
the
think
machine was in like the training program that they had.
it reconnects her.
Yeah.
But it connects to her as she's dying,
Yeah.
so it sees her one more time,
And then
and
she
then like
dies.
she just kind of like
Yeah.
screams and disappears because her body dies.
And then robots alone.
Another different take on it all. So sort of maybe that's what the robot, because they always say that you look like what your residual self-image in the Matrix,
Yeah.
and I guess you're seeing the things that the way the robot would see them. So it was a different style of one, and again, not really tied to really anything else in the Matrix. No major characters or anything. It was just a what if kind of story, which. Some of those I know some people could take or leave. Some of those kind of like the same one with Beyond. It's not as significant as some of the other ones, but it's a fun. I don't know. The whole thing's just such a masterpiece of storytelling and creativity. I've literally, if there's any way to count, I've watched that close to as many times as I've watched the first Matrix movie. Maybe more. It just depends. It's probably neck and neck.
I think I need to go back and watch at least a detective story because I don't remember that one real well.
It's the least memorable of them.
Yeah.
I watched it just a couple days ago. But yeah,
Probably should have done that.
I didn't remember the part where the agents hired him and that he had like the little trace bug in him. I remember the shootout on the train or the subway and stuff. But and again, think about the possibility of things you could do as alternate media. You could have done a whole like crime. I mean, they're getting ready to do Spider-Man Noir.
Yeah.
This is basically that the idea. It's going
Yeah.
to be a black and white sort of detective thing. You could have done that in this. You could have had a longer story with this guy trying to track down Trinity and have him encounter agents and things, or you could have done different things in that same time frame of world.
I do feel like the Animatrix achieved something not dissimilar from like what the MCU achieved, where they were able to build something and create a larger world out of a bunch of different media that other other studios have tried to emulate, but no one's ever really been able to.
Yeah, and really, it's a
I mean,
it's so
even,
it's hard to compare things there because you're the turn of the century where I mean it's a completely different world. You September 11th happened between the first two movies. You kind of had a kind of a probably as close to coming together of people in the country that you'll probably ever see
yeah,
again.
nah, you'll never see it again. No, ever.
The
Not until the end days.
If you compare it to the Marvel stuff, you had George Floyd in 2020 and all the COVID lie crap happened in the middle of all that. So you just had you had an attempt to basically just take over society and subjugate us all into the Matrix that failed. And I think at one point during that whole process, they thought they actually succeeded and got all these people into everything. They got them into schools, got them into movie studios and stuff. Where it was like, now we're just going to tell you what we want you to hear, and it warped all the Marvel stuff into just stuff that
Well,
people
Marvel
hate it.
even tried to do their own version of the Animatrix with the What If series.
Yeah,
And there've been a few seasons that I watched like half of the first What If season, and I was like, I'm not. This isn't.
I
This
saw
isn't
I
for
saw
me.
that it existed, and that's all I've got on that.
I do really like they have their design for like Peggy Carter as Captain America or Captain Britain, excuse me,
Yeah.
and then Steve Rogers in like an Iron Man kind of suit. I like that idea and that story, but aside from that,
I like
I could leave it.
the stuff that was pre 2020. I really enjoyed what they did, and everything after that was just
I do really
not
wish that
anything that I've cared for.
I do really wish that they had continued on with the idea of the Animatrix.
Oh yeah.
They really could have. I mean, they could have done something between the second and third films, but the fact that those films are just right after one another probably.
I think because you didn't have all these streaming things out there, and
Yeah.
your choices would have been HBO or CBS, NBC, ABC. That trying to like think about we could do a series or something. It was just that was a hard world to be like. I want to try like this random series about like a film noir detective story in the Matrix world,
I
and
mean, at the time, it would have been MTV.
it could have been.
That
Yeah.
would have been who would have done it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, liquid television was really popular in the late '90s.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, even if you did
that would
like
have been the
live
place.
action stuff. I mean, if you look at like how I don't know what year was the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Like 2007, 2008.
Yeah, that didn't get a following, and they just cut it off mid season in that and just ended it. And
That needs a CG follow up.
yeah, I don't know that in that world of network television if something like this could have spawned a series that people would have got behind or not. I don't know. I mean, it had massive following of the movies, but I don't know if that translates to Thursday night at 8 o'clock.
As
kind of
much as
thing.
as much as I enjoyed the Matrix, and I think as a property stylistically, I think the Animatrix it feels right. The property, and that's because I mean it's clearly because they were inspired by like Ghost in the Shell and Akira and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They were inspired by anime. The the Matrix as a property belongs in animation.
Yeah,
Uh, that's my feeling.
yeah, and you wouldn't have been able to sell that to a network
Nah.
in that time frame. You probably could now, but
Well, I mean,
you got like
they haven't tried to do anything in animation since the Animatrix, so
the only people that probably would have considered it in that time frame would have been either Fox or FX, those kind of studios that would have done something more alternative because those are the same people that brought you Breaking Bad and Sons of Anarchy and stuff like that were pretty rebellious shows at the time.
I really wish we had another term for animation made in America for the American audience
Yeah.
that's not children other than adult animation.
Yeah.
Come on. Because
Yeah, it makes it sound like you're looking at some kind of
Yeah. Well, I just looked up like
nudie site.
adult American animation of the early 2000s because all the things I'm thinking of, Aeon Flux, Spawn,
Yeah.
the people who would have taken something like the Animatrix, that they were going to make something more of it. I'm like, well, what were they doing in the early 2000s? What animation studios were making shows for?
Simpsons,
Adults.
Futurama, Archer.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Venture Bros, but none of that.
All
None of
of
that's
all of
like
it was
serious sci-fi.
yeah,
It's
as I
all
say,
goofy stuff.
all of it was like comedy based stuff because I think they were thinking the same thing, that it has to be something funny like The Simpsons or people won't watch it. And
Clerks animated series. What? I've never even heard of Queer Duck.
ugh.
Playboy's Dark Justice. Oh, that's softcore.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I think that's the problem with looking up adult animation.
Well, I'm on Wikipedia right now, so yeah, Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. I mean,
That's all like
it's all
Adult Swim
comedies. Yeah, Adult Swim. Yeah.
Adult Swim stuff that
Yeah.
people get baked and watch and laugh at because they're baked, and it's maybe the American guy that could have done it if he was ready. I don't think he was ready back then. Oh, he was doing Dexter and stuff, so Gendy was available, but
You had the Boondocks, but again, that's comedy.
yeah,
So even though that's more like geared toward adults, it's not
yeah,
the serious sci-fi that the Animatrix is.
yeah.
Yeah, well, in another world, perhaps.
Well, we got into all sorts of other things because of these movies. We got into
So at the time when you saw these, did you follow? Hey, who made this? And then kind of went.
no, I mean we didn't
Okay.
have internet stuff to. We still had dial-up internet when all this was going on. So if I was looking up anything from one of these films, it was like going to a website that I was trying to find. Could you find like some collectible toys, or could you find Neo sunglasses or something like that? And literally back then, if you don't have any understanding of like dial-up, you go to a website and watch the page do like this as it tried to load the graphics. And if there was a lot of graphics on the page, it'd be like, I'm going to go do something for 20 minutes and come back when that page is loaded.
Apparently, Spaceballs had an animated series. That's news to me.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna stop looking at animation.
We haven't tried to
in the 2000s.
we haven't tried to do anything serious with that, so that's why it never happened, I guess. But what do you want to get to next? I got multiple things. I could talk about stuff for the Matrix forever. I got favorite scenes from
All right, well,
from
let's,
movies. We got stuff that we like from the
let's go right into the comic books.
I forget. Completely forget about the comics.
We're about hour 30 now, so we can go as quickly through this or as slow as we want.
I have not read these at all recently.
Last
I
time
read-
last time I cracked the spines, well, the actual last time I cracked the spines of these was a couple weeks ago when I realized they were falling apart.
The worst thing about these guys is whoever designed the book for them
Terrible.
is it's really hard to even open the book, and when you do, you feel like you're getting ready to just tear it in half. And I think if you do it too often, you're going to break the spine. So the production of these books was awful.
Yeah.
But
they were a web series. Like the comics were online first.
was there not like something that they gave you in the movie theater at some point that was related? Maybe it was like a little short comic at one point.
I have no idea. I don't recall that personally.
There was something that was like a little thing with like pictures of pods and things. And I don't remember if it was a comic or if it was a poster or what it was. But yeah, it's been a long time since I read the comics. I really didn't go back and research any of these things. It's kind of the same thing as like the Animatrix, where there's
It's pretty much the same like theology as the Animatrix. Like, well, let's show you some smaller stories set in the world that's going to build out the world.
the one that sticks out of my mind. It's almost like if you know comics, you know what I'm talking about when I say the silent issue of G.I. Joe, where they introduced Snake Eyes for the first time. It was a whole issue where there's not a word said. It's just like him showing up, doing like his little ninja mission. Doesn't say anything because one, the character doesn't say anything. There was one in there where there's like this little Buddhist guy who's like has a rock garden or something at his house, and he's like doing something with a butterfly. Maybe he has a butterfly in an aquarium or something like that, or a terrarium. Did the agents come and get? And I think they end up like maybe killing the guy. And they show like he's little butterfly flying off. I don't know if he was supposed to transcended his consciousness into the butterfly or what that story was, but I just remember that one stuck out to me because it was like another silent issue. There wasn't any text in that, no speaking. It was all done through pictures. I like that style of comic, but I know they did a lot of different styles. They did stuff that looked kind of similar to stuff in the movie. Some stuff that was kind of goofy looking. I don't have any real individual issues or anything of that to really talk about on the comics.
The one that I recall that really struck me was Goliath, and it was written by Neil Gaiman, and it wasn't like it had pictures with it, but it was really just like a story.
Yeah.
And pretty much it was about this man who was being trained by the machines to go off into a spaceship that they made specifically for him to fight aliens. And at the time, this was like the farthest in the future. Sorry, that's gonna be a bad sound for you guys. It's the farthest in the future that the Matrix had been at the time.
Okay.
But now, like, you have the Matrix Resurrection, so that's different.
Yeah.
This is one of those where I don't think this is considered canon. But like the idea of aliens even existing in the Matrix universe is kind of wild.
Yeah. I don't. I need to get back into those guys. I'm literally afraid to like read my books because I'm afraid that I'm gonna break them.
Well, because of that, because I was having an issue with the books falling apart, I went and found this.
They're all collected in that.
Hardcover. Yeah, this was the 20th anniversary.
That's
And
cool.
I was planning on reading this, but I'm not a collector. You and I have discussed this before. My idea is if I buy something, it's to use. It's to, like if I buy a figure, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to put it on my shelf. My uncle was one of these where he would buy like little NASCAR toys, and he had a wall where they were just all still in the package. And as a kid, that always bothered me. I'm like, they're cars. They're meant to be played with. I bought this, and I found it for like $60. It was a great deal. But apparently this version, it's the version with like the Trinity cover, is pretty rare. It's pretty expensive.
Okay.
So I lucked out on getting this, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to open it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I usually don't care about
Are there other versions of it?
I might just do that. Yeah. There's
Well, I was gonna say if you,
yeah.
we'll talk afterwards. Let me see if I can find the other one. I'd like to have a copy of it too because I like to go back and read them.
Yeah.
But I want one that I can read, so I might see if I can find the other one, get that, and then we can pass it back
There
and
you go.
forth.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, because I'd like to read. I'd like to get through them.
I read them all when it came out, and I remember even at the time when they're brand new, I was like, man, these things are so stiff. And
Yeah.
Now with what, 15 years of age,
Yeah,
maybe more,
The because I had the
20 years.
the other volumes I had in my like where my comic books are, where I keep all my comic books, but it was just like in a stack of comic books, and it's been probably 10 years since I even pulled it out. But I knew I was impressed with myself. I knew exactly where it was.
Mine are still in bags and boards from when I read them. Once I was done, I put them in there, put them away,
Yeah.
and they have not been taken back out since. And I don't know if they have any value like that or not.
But similar to the Animatrix, I'm flabbergasted that there hasn't been a Matrix comic series,
Yeah.
a mini series that's of 6 issues. I mean, I've told you recently that I read a mini series that was a sequel to The Fly 2. I mean, they're making sequels to everything in comic form.
Well, if there's another 5th movie coming, there'll probably be some foray in the comics that just won't be anything that's probably worth
Now, you see,
looking at.
I feel like I feel like the time for that was like in the 2010, 2012, like around then, if they were going to do that. I think we're too far removed at this point.
Well, way too far for them to be digging back into
And-
trying to just deal with the same main characters and all that. If
Yeah.
you expanded on the world to the point that that even Star Wars got to where you have enough, all these different generations of storylines that you could go into, then you could do whatever you wanted to at this point. But right now you have the story of Neo, and then you have the weird story of Neo and Doogie Howser,
Yeah.
and that's it. You don't. There's so many things you could have done. Like I said, Dan from the World Record. Give me a couple months, I could write you a novel on just the story of Dan.
I still wish that the Matrix Resurrections was something that was more like fourth wall breaking. That wasn't supposed to be a continuation of the Matrix story, because of that they've put like a bookend.
Yeah.
You know, like they're like, well, this is what happens in this universe. I kind of feel the same way with the Star Wars sequels, where it's like, all right, well now you set, well, this is what happens. So if anything you do that's set between the old stuff and the new stuff has to point toward what happened. So
You get- They keep trying to like destroy Dan's mind in the world record story.
yeah, right.
Getting back into the Matrix,
Yeah.
where he learns to like go and heal himself inside the Matrix, and he could be like a half doctor genius, almost like a Flash, because he can run beyond the bounds of any human. If he could, you could go so many different ways with that guy, and his story would be that he'd be going around and waking people up and trying to form a new group of people, or maybe start a second Zion or whatever. So many things you could do with that.
It was also the thing about all the stories in the comics and the Animatrix, from at least from my understanding, that all of these stories occur around the time of the films.
Yeah.
Like it's in that iteration of the Matrix, but this iteration is like what, the sixth.
Yeah.
So there are 5 iterations of stories that could be told.
Yeah.
Like there are other the ones that we could see. Like they could have made, like Dan could have been one of the other ones.
Be tragic to see the story of the one that did all that stuff and then decided to be like, yeah, you know what, screw it, let's just plug back in and
Yeah.
I'll wipe out humanity. But
Right.
that story happened 5 times, so it'd be at least worth portraying that one time.
And I do think, and I know the idea for the Matrix was like this iteration, something was different. It was Neo, and it was Neo and Trinity, and it turns out their love is the ultimate power source. I would have been more interested in seeing, okay, well, that iteration finished. Here's the next iteration of the one. Not here is us resurrecting Neo. And anyway.
Yeah. But talking about stuff that came out though that was right in that world. There's a bunch of video game stuff that came with it too, and one of those things that just was really landing on not deaf ears but country ears that didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So all the stuff that came out that I wanted to get into so bad, I just couldn't, because didn't have the budget to upgrade computers, and I didn't have anything but dial-up. Do you even remember what dial-up was? It was like a 36K.
Oh, 56K. I think it was. I think like 128 at one point.
Yeah, I think like if you were a really good connection, you could get like 56 or something.
Yeah.
But I think half the time when we were connecting, it was like 12 and 14 and stuff. So I mean, it was just ridiculous how underpowered what we had were. But I mean, I remember one of the things that I bought came with a little disc that was like was it like a beta version or some kind of sampler of, I forget which one, the Matrix Online.
Okay.
It was something that was at least let you like get, I guess it was a promotional thing trying to get you to buy it.
Oh, probably.
And the Matrix Online, I'm trying to think what game you would kind of compare it to. Almost like a.
Well, it was an MMO.
It was almost like a.
It was a massively multiplayer online game, and it took place after the third one.
What's the game when you kill you go around the city just committing crimes all the time?
GTA.
Grand Theft.
Yeah.
Almost kind of looked like that kind of idea, like early Grand Theft kind of stuff. It was supposed to pick up after the trilogy. It was supposed to be canon to the whole world of the Matrix.
Right.
And
it was pretty much everybody wakes up. That's the idea. Right?
And it was possible that Neo would be resurrected. That was the whole idea of the story.
Yeah.
And that there were 3 factions there. I don't know what the factions were. But you're supposed to be playing towards this idea that Morpheus was trying to find out how to get the Neo back from the machines and resurrect him.
Right.
So, and again, there's another movie for you if you wanted to continue that story.
I want to see. I've seen the factions at some point. I think it was like the Runners, the Agents, and the Merovingian.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I remember seeing all the pictures, and there's guys in like white suits and stuff, so those would be the Merovingian guys.
Well, it looks like I'm on.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
I'm on the Matrix wiki right now. It says the Cypherites, the E Pluribus Neo, the factions, the Endless Ones, Zionites.
So
There
people,
are more factions by the
So-
end of it anyway.
so Cypher went back in, reinserted himself, and then started a gang.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, in the story of the Matrix Online, everybody understands it's fake. So if Cypher, Cypher died, didn't he?
Cypher got cooked
Yeah. So-
by a Tank and Dozer, or
Yeah.
Tank, or whichever one lived.
So there are people who found that out apparently and probably wanted to reinstall the Matrix.
But-
It was a great idea, I think.
It stayed online until 2009,
Yeah.
when they killed it in 2009. Because at that point, I think there were 500 active players left, and that just wasn't enough to support the server and all that stuff.
Well, you can actually get on some fan servers that exist now. Now they don't have the stories. They don't have combat.
I was looking for footage of the old game,
Yeah.
and there wasn't footage because there weren't people recording YouTube footage
Right.
back when this came out. But
Which
what
is-
I've seen was on those fan servers, people running around in it. And
Which is amazing when you think about it. That this
oh yeah,
the lore of the Matrix, and we have this online world, and it wasn't like preserved at all. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah, there wasn't a way to preserve it the way that all these.
Yeah.
If you want to go watch a playthrough of any video game now, you can just go find some streamer that runs through every game. And
With these video games, the online games specifically, if you're going to play one, some people can play a bunch at once. I've said before, I play both Dune Awakening and No Man's Sky, and both of those take up so much time by gaming time. It's ridiculous.
yeah,
But like with MMOs, it's not one of those things where not a lot of people play a lot of them.
yeah,
And at the time that the Matrix Online was out, I was into Star Wars Galaxies.
Oh.
And it was one of those things where I was like, well, I'm playing this, I can't play this. And at the time, all of these games had a monthly subscription, so you're not going to pay for two.
yeah.
Hindsight, I do wish I would have at least gotten into it for
I
a little
wanted-
bit. It would have been cool.
I wanted to get into
Yeah.
it so bad, but I didn't even have. Strife was the one thing we had on our computer. I think a
Yeah,
first person
love
thing.
Strife.
And
I
then
have that on the Switch.
whatever the Jurassic World thing where you're the girl that crashes. I always forget what that game was called, but it was a first person thing.
Yeah.
Mini Driver voiced it. I can't
I
remember. what it was
remember
called.
that being really. They got a lot of like play in video game magazines because of the physics.
Yeah.
Because it was like the physics for the time were amazing. Look at them now; it's all wonky.
Well, it was super wonky when I played it because my computer was just trying to get enough processing power to even like make it work. And
Trespasser.
Yes.
Yep.
You could literally hear like a dinosaur running at you from behind, and you'd turn, but it was like so jerky that you'd have like a gun that had 3 bullets in it, and about you'd miss because it was so hard to aim because you were actually using your keys and your mouse and stuff to manipulate the hand. Then you would just start trying to pistol whip like a raptor. It would always kill you.
Now the other two games that existed for the Matrix is Enter the Matrix and Matrix Path of Neo. Now Enter the Matrix is an interstitiary where, oh goodness,
Which is the newer one?
well neither of these. Both
Oh,
of these
okay.
were on the Xbox.
Okay.
We'll talk about the
We've
Awakening here in a minute.
Was it Enter the Matrix? I think we had it on the PlayStation 2.
Mm-hmm.
We had one of the two.
Yeah, both of them were on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox, original Xbox.
We had it, and like I said, we didn't have an online connection. It was literally meant to get online and just fight with other people, I think. And we couldn't do that, so we got on, and you went around and you attacked people. I think we were playing as oh my goodness, Jada Pinkett Smith's character. What was her?
Yeah, that's who Niobe.
Niobe.
Mm-hmm. And apparently the story is concurrent with The Matrix Reloaded.
Yeah.
So the story's at the same time.
I remember we ran around for like 3 or 4 times of playing it, and there'd be an agent come up, and you'd jump up, and it was like really weird combat, and you'd jump around and kick them a few times. And
Well, apparently the combat for like The Matrix Online was like a more complex version of rock paper scissors. Like it wasn't an active combat.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe this was the same way where they were trying to do more like a fighting game kind
yeah, it
of
was
thing.
trying to be. It just was. It was like you could do like 3 things. It was. I'm sure you could expand on it as you played it, but it didn't draw us in. And I think my son was probably still in elementary school then, so we were just getting into like trying to play some video games, and it was like, well, this is just not fun.
Right.
So I think I still have it somewhere, but it's.
Well, I got the Path of Neo. I didn't jump at either of these games when they came out. I think mostly 2003. Mostly I was into the movies, but then the movies kind of disappointed me, so I wasn't looking at for other
I think
Matrix media.
the one that we picked up was in that like used bin they used to have at GameStop, and that was probably one of those things that I figured out that was sort of a warning that when a new game was already in the used bin and you could get it for $8, that it really wasn't worth fooling with.
I straight up bought Matrix: The Path of Neo at a Radio Shack that was closing down.
Yeah.
It was in one of their bins, and I actually opened it up just like today. It was still all closed.
Oh yeah,
And it had the for 50 free songs for the Matrix. It had a ticket in there for it. I'm going to go online on the website and see if it still exists.
I'm sure whatever company
I'm
that
sure it
was
doesn't
is
exist, but-
probably closed down 20 years ago.
Right. But I assume the Path of Neo is you just playing through the story of Neo.
Yeah,
That's my assumption.
yeah. It's a few times I've tried to play like Star Wars games that we picked up over the years on like Super Nintendo and then PlayStation. It was you're just playing the movie again.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, this okay.
Yeah, I want some. The Enter the Matrix is, and I got that one recently. My plan was to play some of it, at least get into it a little bit, to talk about it here. Found my Xbox. I have no idea where the controllers are or the power cables. I just have my Xbox. So I don't know. At some point, if I come across the cables, I might give it a go. But I'm not going to go out of my way.
My son was just in about a week ago, and he helped me get hooked back up on our PlayStation 4 because I have not used it in over a year. And got into playing something on that. We'll talk about that some other time. But the one controller that I have, the square button, I guess was dirty or has maybe lost its connection. So we had to reprogram the pad, which at least you can do to change it where you don't have to rely on the square button. But you still have to use it to craft things.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, if I want to craft something, I have to like hold. Is it circle that's down below it on PlayStation?
X.
Yeah, X.
Yeah, circles across.
I have to hold kind of in between those two because my son was telling me how those two are on the same like circuit.
Right.
Upside down and hold it at an angle and press really hard. And then you can see like the little craft bar. It'll come out and it's trying to get there. So you turn a little bit. I'm sitting here in a chair with a controller over my head, like about to cramp my thumb up. I'm afraid I'm gonna smash the controller trying to make it work. So I guess I need to go buy a controller at some point. But it's not really high on my things I'm gonna spend money on right now.
That kind of stuff, I usually just go to shopgoodwill.com and get something cheap.
Yeah. Just go find some knockoff that'll last just a month or two.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Knockoff game controllers is always so cheap feeling.
Yeah.
So the only other video game thing, I told you about this. You haven't seen the video of it?
No.
There's like a 10-minute, it's like almost like a trailer. It's really a trailer / gameplay footage. It was called Matrix Awakens.
You said this came out in conjunction with this last.
Yeah, it came out in
movie.
2021.
Okay.
And it was exclusive, as far as I'm aware, it was on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. And it was a tie-in using the Unreal game engine. And it kind of served as kind of like a trailer to the film. It was trying to get you back into that world. Absolutely beautiful showcase of technology. It's a game insofar that you could play it. Unfortunately, at the time, I didn't have a PlayStation 5. I've never gotten an Xbox Series console, so I wasn't able to play it myself, but I did watch the videos. I watched other people play it.
Do we have any idea who the small black child in the middle is?
She's one of the characters. Let me see. Yeah.
I was starting to wonder if that was one of Will Smith's kids.
Oh.
I guess not.
Matrix
Or
Awakens.
I don't know. I was going to ask if there were any of those she's, but who knows?
That's Io. That's the main character that you control that character in the game. She was specially created to show the potential of the Unreal 5 MetaHuman creator tool. So it was, the whole thing was just a technical showcase.
Okay.
I don't think that character was in Resurrections or anything like that. Like I think the Matrix Awakens as a narrative is not canon.
There's a narrative.
Very. I mean, it's hey, you're back in the Matrix, and agents attack look how cool it is.
You could have told me this character was in the fourth movie, and I'd have been like,
Okay.
okay, I'm sure she was.
But we will we'll take a look at that video because it is cool to see. I think everybody kind of really wish something came of it because it is a cool technical demo, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. And I have the same comment about the video games as I have with the Animatrix and that I have with the comics is why wasn't there more? There should have been more.
Well, easier to sell this now if it was tied to a movie that somebody wanted to see instead of what they just made.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's kind of
You
what I
can't-
was saying earlier was
can't
I
mark-
would have been more interested in this 10 years ago than I am now, seeing where they're going narratively with the Matrix.
You could-
I don't want to go there.
You could revive it and make stuff that surrounds it again if you made a quality movie.
Yeah.
But not when you turned out that slop that they made in that fourth thing. I mean, how's that supposed to attract new people to it?
Well, they're looks like they are moving forward on the fifth, but pretty much what we have here, we have the Matrix films, we have the Animatrix. You can kind of see it in the video. We have the couple of collections of the Matrix comics, the 2 Matrix video games that were put out on disc. This is like this is a lot of stuff, but this is everything that the Matrix has.
This is what I have because the time frame of this coming out. I have a lot of Godzilla stuff now because I'm older and I had money to collect some of it. There were some collectible options for stuff of this back at the time, but I did not have the money to do it. And there are lots of things I fantasized about. Oh, it'd be cool if I got this and I got this, but I got movies and comics.
I remember there was a term back in the early 2000s. I think Matrix actually coined it. They called it transmedia.
Yeah.
And it's media that goes outside of the main story to give you more of the world.
Yeah.
And they just after the third film it just stopped.
Yeah.
They didn't make anything else. I think the Wachowskis, we've discussed there was stuff going on in their lives and
their personal life. I think is why it stopped.
I think they're moving on from the Matrix or wanting to do something different. But it's a shame because I really do think
They did something different, all right.
I really do think with the proper care and attention and the will, the Matrix could have really been a Star Wars sized franchise. But they did have a lot of collectibles. That is one thing. Like aside from this transmedia stuff, they had a ton of toys and stuff
And
like
again,
that.
I didn't have a lot of internet access at the time, so it's probably another good thing that I wasn't able to get online and just stare at stuff but so often because the few things that I did stare at were the things I wanted really, really bad.
This was one you really wanted really bad.
Well, I was a deputy at the time. Was big into cars and driving. Eventually became a driving instructor. I won't lie and say that all of my motivations to get in police work were to try to save the world and make it a better place. I wanted to drive fast. And I was an adrenaline junkie. Well beyond probably when I got out of police work, but part of the fascination with cars and stuff, I've got my son into. We played with Hot Wheels. We got into the little street racing stuff that they tried to market that nobody else on the earth saw. We were the only people that collected that, the acceleracers stuff. And we went to local car shows, and my idea was I wanted to get the car from the Matrix, and that was a '65 Lincoln Continental. That's the big black car they drive around when they're in the Matrix. And I wanted stuff from the Matrix to make a display. And one of the things I wanted is what you've got up here. That's the sword that Morpheus has in the second film. There are replicas of that out there. There still are replicas of it out there. Mm-hmm. 65 Lincoln, if you've ever seen one, is you and I and maybe 2 other people could lay in the trunk of that car. I think it's something like 26 feet long.
It's a long looking car.
Super wide. It was the first car that ever had like power windows and like power locks and stuff like as a standard feature on it. If you can see on the picture, the rear doors are suicide, so they actually open out the other way. But back then too, behind your back seat, you had that big deck in the back between your back seats and your trunk. And a lot of times that's where your speaker boxes were for stuff like that. And I was just thinking, man, a little katana display would fit there across the back, so you could have the swords across the back of that. And then as that idea was kind of looking, I think we saw it probably in a Kmart at the time. I think there were still Kmarts. it's another step back into history. There was a bunch of McFarlane toys. Now, if you
Yeah.
you know McFarlane
I,
toys,
I had a couple of them at the time.
but they had these things that were like scenes from the Matrix that were
Yeah.
poses of like Neo, like when he's breaking the doing the handstand when people are shooting at him at the in the building scene. There's ones of like there's even one of like Trinity when she's falling out of the window and shooting at the agent, and they were so that you could pose the figures and have like a little display. And I was like, man, those would be awesome if you got like a couple of those. I think McFarlane had a big Sentinel. They had a big posable or already posed Sentinel that was all like spread out and it looked awesome. And I was like, man, if you get the swords and maybe a couple of those figures and put them in that car and go to car shows and wear a black suit and or a trench coat, whichever way you wanted to go. And I think I found like a company that you could get Agent Smith sunglasses from, you could get Neo's, you could even get the little Morpheus things that pinch to your face. And
Yeah, I told you
I was
before we
like,
started this, I thought I had those Morpheus sunglasses in our car because I got them years ago, and I was like, well, they're flat enough, and you could just keep them as like an emergency pair of sunglasses. I thought they were in the car, and I was going to bring them in, but I did not have them. Yeah, I put them on, and I was like, my head is far too wide for these. I told you I look more like Batou from Ghost of the Shell than I looked like Morpheus because they like were right at the edges of my eyes. I don't know if
I can't stand when I have my glasses on for very long. How much they rub
pinch. Yeah.
rub my nose there. I always thought I was like I don't think I could do the Morpheus ones because that would just irritate me. That or my nose is so thin up there it would probably just keep popping off.
It's one of those things where probably only Lawrence Fishburne looks cool with those.
But it's funny. Like I've got a picture of the '65 Continental up here. They did a lot of die-cast models and stuff like that. Actually, Hot Wheels just released one of those.
I was just looking out on the computer. I was gonna ask you if you had.
I'm gonna get one.
Okay.
I hadn't got it yet. We looked at Walmart the other day just to see if they had them. And Walmart, when that kind of stuff comes to Walmart, all the scalpers come in and buy it, and take it to eBay.
Well,
And
I recently bought in the past 6 months a turtle van that was die cast.
Yeah.
So that cued me in on the fact that they're making all these like iconic movie vehicles.
it's funny that I've seen toys of this listed that even have it listed as 64 Continental, and I had it in my head. I think one of the first toys I saw was one of the 64s. And I had it in my head forever that the car from the Matrix was a 64, and I've gone back and looked and was like, no, it's a 65. There's headlight differences and stuff on them. So that was the dream. And honestly, I remember looking at these things on eBay, auto stuff back then. It was hard to find a black one, but you could find that car. I'm talking like between like 15 and like low 20s back then. And if I could have got the money together, I would have pulled the trigger on that in a heartbeat. Those cars now are 100,000 plus because everything has just everything's just gone stupid.
Also, 2012 they destroyed just like so many old cars. So
Yeah.
that
The crazy
government buyback.
crazy thing with that thing is it had it was something like a 460 cubic inch like V8 in it. It was just it's just a beast of a car. I always thought I joked with because our kids were growing up, we had to go through car rider lines. That's the thing that developed in our generation. That still is just one of the most obnoxious things I've ever seen. Where you go pick your kid up and you have to wait in a little line and stop at all the little designated spots so that you can pick your child up. And I used to always joke as how awesome that would be to pull in with this almost 30-foot long car and watch all the ladies there when you pull up in your little minivan and you have the little power door that opens for them to watch them have to figure out how to open up the rear suicide doors.
I mean, just the suicide doors alone, that's gonna turn heads. I'm like, whoa.
I would have probably worked it up to where like when you open the door it keyed like a sound effect of like the Matrix theme, that the little online thing. But there was a ton of stuff like that. If I'd gotten into the world of the figures, these cases would be full of. If I had the income that I had when I started collecting Godzilla stuff when this was going on, I'd have cases full of Matrix stuff. But again, the figures I could have gotten for $15.95 back then, I think are like $250 now.
Yeah, everything's up.
I could still do the car at some point, track down the car and maybe get a sword, maybe just do a couple figures, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure the wife wants to drive around East Coast car shows with me dressed as Agent Smith. not a Probably not a lot for her to do in that whole scenario, unless she wants to slick her hair back and be Trinity.
Well, this would probably be a good time to talk about the phones. And I just wanted to say that there was when the Matrix first came out and they had that phone that opened up, that like slid open.
It's like a switchblade phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seemed to be like the most futuristic thing in the world. It was so cool. And it was one of those things
at that time I had a bag phone.
Right.
It was literally like a full-size phone that was in a little leather bag that I had strapped to the headrest of the passenger seat in my police car, and that was the only cell phone that we had.
I lived in Italy at the time, and that was one of the things that, like, Europe got heavy into cell phones before America did.
Yeah, well, it's probably easier.
Probably about 5 years or so.
When you're closer together, it's easier to do that sooner.
And like all of their phones were just like the little Nokia phones that you flip open and stuff like that. So this definitely seemed like a glimpse of the future of phone technology. When you actually realize like what that was, it was just a plastic cover that was just on rails.
Yeah.
And it didn't even have like an actuator or anything like that, or a spring to where you push the button and it comes down. You have to move it with your thumb.
I always thought that in the movie there was it was like a switchblade.
That's what it looked like. Yeah, it was like, but I think that was just how he held it, how he opened it with his thumb and all that. But it was great. They did come out with an actual like Matrix tie-in phone. Samsung came out with it. Looks horrible. I mean, you can see it on here, and I think they probably actually used it in probably the subsequent films, the second and third film. It's just an over-designed piece of mess. The earpiece is the thing that like slides up in order to kind of have that sliding function. And when the earpiece slid up, it revealed the screen. I can see what they're going for. And when I was looking this stuff up, I was like, you know what? That would be real fun to have these as the display. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I looked up how much they're going for. The Nokia 8110, that's the actual one that's with the original Matrix, about $250. No,
Yeah.
definitely not paying that just to display it.
This would be like post me winning a lottery, which
right.
doesn't happen because I don't play the lottery, so you can't win it if you don't play it.
What's that phrase? If I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anybody, but there would be signs, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The
I'd
actual
have a 65
Matrix,
Lincoln Continental on switches. I'd be bouncing
Right.
down the road on my little $250 Nokia, like, Mr. Wizard, get me
I
a
mean, at
give me a
this point
hamburger.
with the technology that you have, if you had that Lincoln Continental, you could actually project Matrix code like on the road beneath you.
Oh yeah.
That would be cool.
You could pop the trunk up or even the hood and have a screen you could show a movie on, because that's literally, you get into these old cars like that. This is something my grandparents did, and I wanted to do it so bad, and there weren't helicopter parents obviously when I was a kid, but I guess they were aware enough they didn't want us to die. Probably because they just didn't want to have to pay for the funeral. But they would take, my granddad was a Plymouth dealer and had sold cars from this same time frame, 50s and 60s into the early 70s before he got out of that. At Christmas time, when they had a big gatherings after a big snow and they all wanted to go sleigh riding, they would just take the hood off of one of these cars, put it down, and they said you could get like 12 people on it. And it was already painted and slick as it could be.
I'm just thinking of the scratches.
Well, I mean, they had cars that were
Yeah.
sitting around, ones that were crashed, things like that.
Oh, okay.
They had
Yeah.
ones that were,
Off of junker cars.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had stuff sitting on his property. It's all been ravaged after he passed away years ago. He had old Studebakers and stuff sitting there and just getting eaten up by kudzu vines and stuff like that. But they'd take like one of these hoods and just set it down. It'd just be like this
nice.
huge polished surfboard, or not surfboard, sled that would go down the hill. And they said it'd be going so fast people would just start flying off of it. Oop, no, I'm hitting the microphone.
Well,
But, yeah.
the Samsung Matrix phone you can get for about $1,000 on the low end. Yeah.
Yeah, that's to put in the middle of your display case.
Yeah, of course.
If you collected Matrix stuff.
Yeah, that's we're talking about the transmedia stuff not being a lot of it, but yeah, if you collected everything you could find of Matrix, and you're like, well, I need more.
Yeah.
You could go here. All right. Let's talk about our favorite scenes.
Yeah, and this was why I wanted the sword because of the scene from up on the bridge where the twins are coming after
Hmm.
him. Two parts of that. I wanted the sword because that's where he cuts down the side of the it's a Chevy Avalanche they're in.
Oh, okay.
Talk about like vehicle. All right, it was probably the Cadillac version of it, but it's the same thing. That little half truck thing that they made. Then, like as it flips over, he pulls out the fully automatic Glock and shoots at it and blows it up.
I think
Because of
apart
that,
from, go ahead.
I was gonna say because of that scene, that was one of my things is I wanted to shoot one of those, and I actually got
Okay.
to when our sheriff's office was buying its first semi-automatic rifles because Columbine happened, and we were like, we need to upgrade because
Yeah.
now there are kids that are going to outgun us.
Yeah.
When one of the dealers that sold that kind of stuff brought all the toys, that it was a good salesman tactic to be like, we know this is probably what you're going to probably buy, like H&K M4s or stuff like that, or maybe even Bushmaster. But before that, let me show you the really cool stuff. And we got to, we got to shoot all the kinds, the little thing from like Gun Gale Online. Have you ever seen that? The little
Let me look. Gun
tiny
Gale
thing.
Online?
I don't even remember what that. It's called like a P something. It shoots like a. It's a little bit bigger than a 22 round, but it's like fully automatic.
P90?
I think it's something like that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's like the stereotypical video game gun.
That was like a brand new thing
Okay.
that they were trying to like let SWAT
Looks
teams
futuristic.
see if they wanted. Well, it was for an entry for like urban going
Yeah.
into cities for SWAT teams because it was so compact, and we got to shoot that thing and it was just dumping just ammunition onto the ground right at your feet, and I was like, this is like the biggest waste of money I've ever seen, but it's awesome. But he also had the fully automatic Glock that Morpheus shoots there, and you talk about like the dumbest thing that's ever been designed. You could put like these extended magazines into it, and it was just on the same Glock platform, but it was fully automatic, and it literally was like a mix of somebody setting off fireworks in your face and somebody like a cow like farting because it was just this. It just sounded like that. It was just like, and it was just this big fiery thing. You had no idea. You could not see what you were shooting at, and it was empty in just like a matter of seconds. And I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever done. But I got to shoot one of those. It was so awesome. That that was probably the best scene I think from the one of the best scenes I thought from the second and the third movies combined, the whole highway chase with Trinity on the bikes and all that stuff. But the first movie really does have the iconic scenes in it.
Yeah, I
The-
think this scene on the highway is the only scene from the second and third films that I think has any kind of lasting power like the first film had.
Yeah. Yeah, the first one you can go through them, and the whole thing is just like iconic scene after iconic scene.
Yeah.
The first one, the training session, when they go to the dojo and when
Yeah.
he's trying to get Neo to learn what he can do,
So good.
you can just watch that scene on repeat.
Yeah.
Did you ever have the soundtrack to this thing?
Oh yeah. Who
That-
didn't?
Well,
Yeah,
I know I
really.
had that. I had it downloaded
I-
both.
But my friend and I in 1999 shot this film that it was called Armed and Dangerous, and the idea of this film, we did it in like a day, is a guy wakes up without arms and he's looking for his arms. It was such a stupid thing, but we used the Matrix soundtrack for that whole thing.
Think
It was
about how
great.
many people probably use that music
Oh,
and
yeah,
everything.
of course.
It made itself into like all the spoof movies, like the scary
Mm-hmm.
movie stuff too. But that was "Leave You Far Behind" by Lunatic Calm.
Okay.
That happened in the dojo. The thing where he runs up the pole and flips around, and then Morpheus is doing it. You're faster than this. Don't think you are. No, you are. Like I love that whole thing. The attack on the building, when they're trying to break Morpheus out at the end, probably the most iconic thing from the whole series, where they go through the metal detector, open the trench coats, and then just start the gun
And the
battle.
guy's
with
just
them.
like, whoa.
That's Spy Break from the Propeller Heads.
Okay.
That's that song, and that's the song that I think probably got copied into everything.
Yeah.
That's where he's doing the handstand flipping and grabbing. As he's like emptying a gun, he just flips and grabs another gun and just keeps going. Right after that, they get up on the roof, and that's where the dodging bullet scene with the agent, where he shoots at the agent for the first time, and like the agent just dodges it all. Then
How'd you do that? Do what? You move like them.
yeah,
Yeah.
almost.
Almost.
And I mean, even right after that, the fact that like she downloads a program to fly the
Fly
helicopter.
helicopter.
She's just sitting there, her eyelashes are fluttering. It's like, all right, let's go. I'm like, that's awesome. But I think those were by far the most iconic scenes from the entire series. I guess for the later movies, the freeway. I thought the backdoor hallway was a
Yeah.
super clever idea. The basketball court scene, I think, was probably their attempt to make another iconic scene. And
Attempt is the right word there.
I think,
Now that scene is often parodied,
yeah,
but not because it's iconic, but because it's viewed as being so bad.
yeah, yeah. And I always I throw that in that category of where I don't mind bad stuff in stories that I like.
Yeah.
I can go back and see that scene and see all the stuff that people were criticizing it for. Of
Yeah.
people that have Agent Smith masks on and them trying to CGI Neo, and if you look at his face, it's like, wow, that's bad. That's bad animation. But
The thing
yeah,
for me, even at the time, I remember the thing that really broke my suspension of disbelief was the cloth physics. Because it was one of those things where cloth physics were just starting to be a thing in CG animation, and I think they wanted to show off what they could do. But it was at that, what do you call it, uncanny valley, where like it's just unreal enough to where it's hard to believe that what you're seeing is actually real.
yeah,
I didn't mind so much the kind of plasticky looking Neo or the Agent Smiths with masks on and stuff
yeah.
like that. For me, it was all about the clothes and the way the clothes looked digital.
Yeah. I like in the last one too, in the final fight where the whole city is taken over by Smiths and they're like in every window in every building and they're lining the street. And of course they're doing the slow rain samurai scene there.
And then they had the
Probably a try hard
Dragon
scene,
Ball
but
fight.
I still like it.
Yeah.
I like the dock stuff too. I like the dock fighting where the guys are in the machines. I again would have liked it if it was more just the soldiers and not like the little kid that was like, I've got to run the ammo back and forth and having to work in the kid from the skateboard cartoon. But yeah, that was kind of a list of scenes. Do you have any favorite characters, or do you have a favorite character?
I mean, not honestly. It's just Neo. I think Neo's a fantastic character.
Yeah.
Neo and Morpheus.
Yeah.
When you think about the series as a whole, all the characters are there to support Neo. You know, Neo is definitely the one in not only the narrative but in the whole series.
Yeah.
Which is what kind of makes Matrix Resurrections weird, because it's like, well, now Trinity and Neo's the one. They're
I
the
think
team.
my favorite character always was Morpheus, and it's just because of all the things that he says.
Yeah.
You
Well-
think that's air you're breathing. You know, you're faster than this. Don't think you are. No, you are. The whole thing with, I talked about it before in an earlier show. I can only show you the door. You have to walk through it.
Morpheus is the one that shows the most like pure faith.
Yeah.
You know, he's working off of something he believes, and he believes it to be true, and he wants to make sure it becomes true.
Yeah. My other favorites were the Merovingian. He's just such a good bad guy. And I think the fact that he was just doing the hybrid French cussing
Yeah.
was a thing that I always liked.
I felt like the whole I get the idea of like the role the Merovingian plays in the Matrix in the narrative, but I felt like his presentation was a little what's the word I'm looking for?
Goofy?
No, indulgent.
Yeah.
And one could say that's the point.
Oh yeah, that is the point.
But
It's what the whole character's supposed to be.
Yeah, I felt like it was a bit too much of an aside.
The
to
Oracle
what was going on.
goes into exile and goes and lives in a little tiny apartment where she makes cookies.
Yeah.
He goes into exile and creates a criminal organization that's just for about his pleasure. So he's a well crafted bad guy. I think my favorite like sort of second tier characters were always Seraph, and just because he's just a karate guy that's all business. You know.
I really like the idea of I mentioned it before, but the Merovingians' henchmen, like the two ghost
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Like visually, I remember at the time when they first showed it, like I saw clips of it and in the movie, I remember rolling my eyes.
Yeah.
But in subsequent viewings of the film, I came to appreciate what they were trying to do.
I wish they had been involved with the whole story of the Merovingian all the way through instead of just making that one appearance.
Right. I would have,
'Cause-
and also they're specters, and they showed them turning into ghosts.
Yeah.
All right, great. Show me a werewolf, man. I mean, show me an alien or something. I mean,
Show me
show me other stuff.
There's never an interaction with Neo and the two ghost guys.
Yeah.
And the fact that that Neo or the Trinity and Morpheus and them have real trouble fighting these guys because they can just dodge anything by just popping out for a second and then popping back in. They were I think completely underused. I love the thing. It's like I think after they get knocked out of the one car or whatever, they end up falling back into like again. I guess the movie was sponsored by Cadillac.
Probably.
They're back into like a Cadillac
Another
Escalade.
Cadillac, yeah.
They get into it and they're reacquiring them in the whole freeway chase, and it's like we are getting frustrated. I love that line. And I think my other small character that I like was Mifune, and he's he's kind of like the sergeant at arms of the robots that are defending the dock, and he's the last guy standing when all the other robots are beat, and just sitting there just pumping lead into the hundreds and hundreds of sentinels that keep coming in, and the one that I don't even know what the skateboard kid's name is. I'm sure he has a name. But he's the one that he comes out, then reloads him one more time before the.
I thought it was the kid.
They might just call him the kid. But then all the sentinels just slash the guy all up into pieces, and
Yeah, he's just called Kid.
Kid jumps in and opens the dock for the. It's not the Nebuchadnezzar. They were in Niobe's ship. Again, I can't remember what that one was. It's not the Osiris. I've got too many names in my head at this point. Run out of memory.
The schooner?
No.
That's that's an actual Niobe. Hang on a sec.
Yeah.
Niobe ship Matrix is what I need to do. Just give me a schooner ship. It's not coming up.
That's fine. But yeah. The other thing, I wrote this down just on random stuff. These are things I could go through and do.
The logos.
The logos?
Yeah. She's the captain of the pilot Zion hovercraft. The logos.
Okay. So I think that's the one that Neo and them take.
Okay.
And then
To the Machine City.
she's coming back in the other guy's ship. But again,
Yeah.
not.
If you played the game, you might know.
If I had more than a 12K
Yeah.
connection. The last little tidbit I threw down, which again I could do this all day with like Matrix stuff. Maggie, the lady who's there with Bane in the ship. Did you recognize her?
Mm-mm.
She's the mom from the Babadook.
Oh, okay. All right.
I love little connections like that where you see somebody and it's like
Yeah, I would have never made that connection.
you look her up and you look at her like films that she's in and she's like, she's in the Babadook. I'm like, who was she in the Babadook? And then, in the Matrix, her head shaved. She's got like short red hair.
Right.
She's got long blonde hair and she's all kind of psychotic and crazy in the Babadook. But yeah, this again could be one of those things we could get into reading the comics and going through we could go through the individual issues of that and talk about those things. We could get into playing these games. We could probably profile collectibles for a show and just go through all the material they've made for this thing over the years. And I could go back through all the fight scenes. I talk about all the fights and all the scenes that are my favorite ones. I didn't even throw in the fight where he's fighting Smith in the subway.
I mean, you hit it on the nail on the head earlier when you said like the first movie is just iconic scene after iconic scene after iconic scene. It really is.
When he stops like Neo's punch and like Neo just sticks his fingers out and like hits him in the throat and he's like,
That sound.
I love that. That's so good. The whole thing where he poses when he decides whether he's going to run or fight, and he does his pose and does the come on thing.
I like the part where he like shakes the dust off of him.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. So we're
rounded up on the end of this. The end of our look at the Matrix.
This was leftovers.
Yeah.
Excuse me, leftovers for a reason because there's tons of leftovers you can go into.
But at the same time, it doesn't really feel like enough. Like there's a lot of stuff that you can get into
yeah.
with the Matrix,
Yeah.
but it just all stopped. This I think if you asked us back in 2003, 2004, like what the Matrix would be, we would think there'd be spin-off films, there'd be animations, there'd be
You think
multiple video games.
You think that there'd be generations of people that would all be into it, and
Yeah.
they're really not.
Nope.
This doesn't have that nostalgic little following of. You have more people from this generation of younger 20 whatever year olds now that are more into Mario and Zelda and
Yeah.
things from way before the Matrix that are. Some of them probably haven't even seen these films. And
I'm reminded of a anecdote that Keanu Reeves told at one point where he went to some producer or director's house and he was having dinner with him and the children of this producer or director or whatever, and they hadn't seen the Matrix yet. So Keanu Reeves was like describing what the Matrix was about, and the kids were like, "So, what do you mean? Wouldn't it be horrible if the world wasn't real?" And like, eh. And I wonder how much of the popularity of the Matrix was like a lightning in the bottle situation.
Yeah.
Perfect time, perfect place. And the people who are interested in the Matrix today are the people who saw it years ago. Again, it's one of those like it's all nostalgia.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the most of the references to it at this point are from people probably closer to our age that grew up and are starting to realize how much they've kind of been misled and lied to about things, and they've kind of adopted that whole idea of being red pilled as to being woken up from
Yeah.
the wool that was pulled over our eyes, I guess. And I don't know what how that translates into a younger generation if they.
I guarantee you, there's a whole bunch of people out there that doesn't even understand red pills are reference to the Matrix.
There's a lot of times I'll bring up something that I think it's a thing that people are obviously aware of because I'm aware of it, and I get these blank looks back at me like, "What are you talking about?" I don't know if maybe it's just certain types of people or if it's generations of people that are kind of locked into things like how much people lied to us about things from food charts to vaccines to everything.
That was the using the pill terminology. That my black pill moment was the food pyramid. When they were like, "Oh, this food pyramid thing you grew up on." Yeah, it's supposed to be the other way around.
Things
I was like,
that
you
had
guys
to,
are you're a bunch of idiots. None of you know anything.
like we had to go buy like poster board and like get things so we could make like a thing and come in and like display it in school to
Food
hammer
pyramid.
home this whole thing. And it was like, yeah, no, that's all a lie. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think I'm very comfortable, especially with the fact that, I mean, it's been a while since I've watched the Animatrix. I've never played any of the games. It's been forever since I've actually spent any time with the comics that they did put out. I'm good on Matrix Media. They made Resurrections, and I know they're making the Matrix 5. I don't want any more at this point. I think what we have is good.
I don't want any more by people that are just going to treat it like those people treated it.
Right.
If you had people that loved it the way that you and I do, that were involved in it, and had the freedom to just make stuff and didn't be like, well, you have to change this character to represent these people and have to do this, because my conversation with anybody like that would be really brief, and I'd probably get fired and lose all my funding.
Well, well, my perspective on all of that has always been, and will always probably will be, is it in service to the story? That's it. Are you doing this for the story or another reason?
Yeah. Yeah, when it's somebody's little personal thing that they have to, they don't care about the Matrix world at all, that that's another chance for them to insert themselves and their little personal things into it, then yeah, I have no patience for that. But you get, I think you've seen a lot of that fight at Disney where you have people that are really true fans of Marvel stuff and Star Wars stuff that have tried to make what they wanted to make, but they've been undermined by all their people and their messages.
Well, unlike Marvel and Star Wars, where both of those I've taken kind of a salad bar approach to it, where it's like, okay, well, this looks good, let me try this. Oh, this looks good, let me try this. That doesn't look good, I'm going to leave it alone. With the Matrix, unless something changes, unless they start to make stuff that is actually pretty good, I'm very comfortable with just saying,
Oh,
like,
yeah, no,
okay,
there's-
2010 before is anything before, that's great. Afterwards, leave it alone.
I talked about it with the 28 Days Later franchise, that
Mm-hmm.
28 Years Later movie was like, you got my attention, it's not quite right. Your second movie, I feel, is going to be crap, and I went to go see the second movie, and I was like, the second movie was actually pretty good, and you're keeping my attention,
Yeah.
so I kind of want to see the third movie. That fourth Matrix thing, I don't even remember what it was called.
Resurrection.
Resurrections,
Yeah.
whatever. Did nothing to establish any desire for me to see anything else. The all of this media that we have out here in front of us is stuff that would be awesome stuff to delve into in other, whether it's anime shorts or a series or another movie or any of that stuff. But yeah, I'm not holding my breath for that to happen. I think people are just digging for old properties to figure out we need something we can put in the theaters next summer. So
Just rewatch the original Matrix, give the other two films a go, watch the Animatrix.
if you want to make, if these studios are so hard up for money, don't make another movie and spend that much money. Reissue the first Matrix and release it in the summertime.
Yeah.
I'll go see it in the theater.
They actually did have in the Vegas Dome. Have you seen this?
No.
They released a Matrix 4D experience or whatever it's called. So they showed the video.
I think
They
you
showed the
mentioned that
movie.
to me at one point
Yeah.
where it had the stuff out onto the side.
Right, and they just like rendered more of the scene, but it wasn't. The video I saw, it wasn't like they extended the scene. It was like, well, this is the scene where they're in the helicopter and they're gonna, hit the side of the building.
Yeah.
Well, then that whole scene just has a static scene, static image of the building.
Yeah.
It sounds cool. They also like gave you, if the food, this would have been right up our alley. They fed you the food that was on the screen at the time. So like when the Oracle gave Neo a cookie, everyone got a cookie, that sort of thing. When Cypher was eating the steak, you got a steak.
Oh well.
So that would have been cool.
Yeah.
But so that was a bespoke, specific for the Dome experience, which I'm sure the people who went and saw it, it was like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, reissuing the Matrix, I mean, we came out in 1999. We have a couple of years. I'm sure they're going to do a 30th anniversary
I
re-release.
guarantee they'd make more money off that than they would off of whatever this fifth thing is going to be. And even if it's good and it draws people in, the money that they put into these things is so ridiculous that it's just almost impossible for them to make a profit on it.
Well, we've talked about that before. I think movie theaters are missing out by not going ahead and reissuing older films. But the key is, instead of $15, it needs to be like 8, 10. Like here's an older film.
I'm more of a
we're
I'm a
re-releasing-
harder negotiator. Give me $4.95.
Right. But it needs to be a little treat for the people.
In conjunction with it, honestly, if you really want to fix the film industry, you do that and pause on making some of this new stuff for a little while, and just be like, sorry, we don't have any work for you people right now, and let these people that have got in here to destroy everything.
You may see that with the burgeoning AI creators. So
Just y'all go find something else to do. There's a Starbucks with your name on it somewhere. go be a whatever that's called, a barista, and stop trying to write crappy movies. You're all fired.
is it in service of the film?
Yep.
All right. Well, that's our look at that is our leftovers,
That
our
is
long
our leftovers.
leftovers. Look
Yeah.
at other Matrix media outside of the films.
Yep.
It's I haven't played the game, so I can't say 100% with the games. Everything I've seen outside of the Matrix, it's all good.
Jump on our platforms. We're on YouTube,
X,
X.
Twitter, whatever.
If you have stuff that we missed or stuff that's your favorite stuff, comment about it.
Yeah, let us know.
Let us know. We'll respond.
Yeah, there might be stuff that we are completely unaware of.
Yeah. Again, I'm sure something from this long ago. There's probably some stuff that stood out to other people that maybe had a different impact on somebody else than it did on us. But
One thing I really remember fondly is the Matrix website. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, it had like it was like the what do you call the operator.
Yeah.
It was like from the operator's point of view, you saw all the different screens.
That-
That was so cool. I miss that internet.
that would be the time I'd like tell my wife, it's like, can I get on there and like do this thing right now? It's like, anybody supposed to call that you know of? It's like, I don't think so. So you connect your dial up disable your phone line for however long you're gonna be there, and then let this huge, super complex designed website for the time
So yeah,
take forever to load all the little things. And
I was fortunate to be in college at the time, so we had like DSL.
yeah,
So I had the faster internet, so yeah, it was great.
yeah, I did not have. We finally got a faster internet service through our satellite provider years after this, and that was the first time I ever was like able to get online and do things. But
So our next episode will be appetizers for next month.
yes, and we drew in our last one, right?
We drew in our last one. It was Lawnmower Man,
Yes,
which is one of my favorite films.
I've got some homework to do on that one because I saw that in the theater, and I'm not sure that I've seen it since then.
This was one of those
That was a
films
long time ago.
where I watched it like regularly for a while, like every year for a few years, but then I stopped.
Yeah,
It's probably been a good 10 years since I've seen it, so I need to watch it again
Yeah.
as well.
and I'm gonna try to track down the book too because I know there's probably not a lot of similarities there, but I do want to see what Stephen King was thinking when he did the first thing.
I'm sure you can read it on Open Library apparently, and the book itself is the Night Shift collection.
Yeah, I think between our house and my mom and
sure you
dad's
got it.
place, I think we've got a copy somewhere. I just gotta find it.
I'm sure. Yeah. In today's interconnected world, it'll be easy to get.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's on.
I'm sure I can go to our library and get it if nothing else.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Alright.
we will. We
We'll
will be
start-
back with our appetizer section on that, which is not really about that. It'll be more
Not at all.
what we've been into and what
Yeah.
we're watching. So come back and check that one out as well.
That'll be next week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been fun. Thanks, Joel.
All right. Later.